listening to him sometimes.
Hey, you wake up. It's Saturday morning and it's time to jump on that to do list. But that home improvement project doesn't have to be a chore. Before you jump in, tune in here to About Your House to listen and learn from the most reputable and experienced service providers in the industry. On today's show, we have Andrew Cole of Song Dog Wildlife. So stick around. About Your House is brought to you by PutToolsInSchools.org, connecting students to tools of the trades and raising awareness of the many career pathways. Also brought to you in part by Carolina Foundation Solutions, a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina. From the hills to the coast, if you have a problem, they have a solution. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some time with us as we spread a little love. And now, here's your host, Ray Terry.
All right, good morning, and welcome to another Saturday morning right here on Fox Sports Charlotte About Your House. I love getting up every Saturday morning and coming up here. It's just part of my life. I would rather be no place else. It's just such a joy. And this morning, especially joyful because my buddy, everybody's buddy that needs him, Andrew Cole's in the house, and from Song Dog Wildlife, nature extraordinaire. The older he gets, the more he looks like a bear. No, not really. But good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You've been a busy guy.
I've been busy. Oh yeah, we fill up a calendar quick.
You know, how long have I known you? Do you think
I want to say at least 8 years.
8 to 9 to 10 or
Yeah.
whatever? How old is River?
He's 11 now. He'd be 12 in November. But I
Right.
started my business here in Charlotte in 2015, and so we're going to celebrate 9 here.
Well, so I've known you ever since you basically started.
Yeah.
Right after you started.
Yeah, it wasn't very long, before I started doing the show.
And your pathway has been, in your career. I mean, here you've been in it, what, 9 years?
Mm-hmm.
9 years you've been out there in people's houses chasing animals, critters, and
Well, I started in the industry in 2011. I worked for the state for the Wildlife Resources Commission, left there in 2011.
How old are you?
I'm 42.
You're 42,
Mm-hmm.
and you went to college around your profession.
That's right.
Wildlife.
For wildlife and fisheries.
You know,
forestry
you
management,
came
yeah.
right out of high school. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school in Central Maryland. That's why when people hear my accent or dialect, they're like, "You're not from here." I'm a
Well,
hybrid.
no, you're not.
But I went to high school in Central Maryland. Went to college in Western Maryland at a small school, Frostburg State. They're one of the only
Well, they were
universities in
niche
Maryland.
oriented. They
Right,
had a wildlife
in fish
school. Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
here in North Carolina, you have NC State, which is the powerhouse of
Right.
And then I want to say the other one is out in the mountains. It's I can't remember the name of it now. No, it's one of the other schools. I can't believe I'm not recalling it, but
Well, it
there's
doesn't matter. There's few, just
yeah,
like Appalachian State with
mm,
construction. It's got a great
right,
construction management program,
right.
and not many colleges offer degrees and what have you in construction. So, but you went to college for that right out of high school. So you were always a wild man.
Yeah, oh yeah, I've always had an interest in nature ever since I was young. I think probably I was born in San Diego, California, and my mom used to take us to the animal park there.
Right.
And I've always had a love for nature, drawing nature, and then eventually one day
So
I got
you drew your artistic
I
ability.
am, believe it or not.
No, I believe you because well, you know Steve Hughes,
Oh yeah.
and I don't know how well you know Steve Hughes.
Mhm.
I've thought about having him come in with you guys, but that's like overkill
Yeah.
between the two of you. Uh, but he is an artist.
Mhm.
He's a house painter, and he's a true thoroughbred artist, sculpture, just an artisan, man. He's really incredible, and he's, as you well know, he's well versed in wildlife
Oh
as
yeah.
well. But both of you, I didn't know you were, you've done creations around nature.
I've used to draw and paint all the time. I haven't in a long time. I should get back into it, but I
But you're
used to.
doing your passion.
That's right.
That's what I love about you, and what you do, and you're serving people, serving the community, and also you're just living your passion,
That's right.
and you're raising your kids
Doing my
around
best
nature.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, my son and my daughter, they both, and my daughter starting to get into it more now, but my son, he's a fishing
Rivers
nut.
eat up with it.
Oh yeah, he loves to be outdoors, and if you look at his legs, he he looks like he's been shot with spread shot. He's got so many mosquito bites that he scratches to a bloody pulp. But he's like, I got to remind him when he goes out to go creek fishing or hit the bass pond down the road with his buddies. It's like, hey, put some pants on. You're gonna get eaten alive out there. But he loves it too. If you made him pick, he'd pick fishing over hunting. But yeah, we get out there and do a lot of things together. Outside of that, he's a ice hockey player. He loves to play hockey.
That's awesome. That sports
Mhm.
keeps them
That's right.
tuned up
Yeah,
and
gives him
active too. Gives them some
exactly.
energy outlets. Something I just thought about. I used to get a lot of posts from your wife. She's on Facebook. I don't
Mhm.
get them anymore. Algorithms change up.
Yeah,
But
it's weird.
because she did a lot of posts with your daughter. I hadn't seen your daughter lately. I was just thinking, and I know your kids growing up.
Oh man, growing like weeds.
Yeah, like you're one example that when I met you, you just had your first River,
Hmm.
and your daughter wasn't even born yet. I don't
Hmm.
believe. And I've watched so many kids grow up. Like Tim Hodges, goodness gracious, he's probably watching or listening on Facebook. But he's posted a picture of his son, Sam,
Hmm.
on Facebook the other day. And I said, "Whoa,
Yeah.
dude's a young man," and I'm thinking, God, I remember him when I'd throw him in the pool. I'd literally pick him up a little ball and throw him in the pool.
Yeah, no,
And he ain't that no more. But
that's
it's
right.
amazing watching these kids grow up.
Yeah,
Really.
Josie will be 6 next month on the 21st, and then River on the 21st of November will be 12. But Josie, she's 6 going on 16. She's so smart.
Well, I can tell just by her actions and when she was younger that she's very intriguing. She's got a curiosity.
Oh yeah, she's
Well,
a character.
curiosity breeds intelligence. Because if you ask questions and wonder why, and they look at something, you can tell their little brains are working, just going crazy.
Hmm.
And it's kind of, I love watching kids, just
Mhm.
watching them,
Hmm.
especially when they're young, because they're growing, their minds are just a churning. And to give them that creative outlets and stuff like that, that's just a beautiful thing.
Oh, she's a trip, and she can remember anything. You tell her something one time, she'll never forget it. She's got a memory like a steel trap, and it's like, oh, I don't remember even saying that. She's like, yeah, you remember when you said that? I was like, man, starting to
She
get
calls you
faded.
out. She calls you out on it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, that's great. I'm glad your kids are doing well. They're in school now.
Hmm.
What grades we in?
River just moved up to middle school in 6th grade, and Josie just started kindergarten. So we got the daycare bill off the books. Yahoo!
Moving up, moving on up.
Right.
Where are you living now?
I still live in Mint Hill,
Okay, I
off
I
218.
couldn't remember. Okay,
Right on the outside of the, is like in the far southeastern
Oh,
corner
I
of
know.
Met
Yeah,
County.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
can throw
yeah.
a stone into Union County or down Brief Road,
Right, I got you.
back
I
down
know
there.
exactly where
Same
you're at.
place we've
Sure.
been all along.
Okay, cool. Well, good. Rivers growing up there out in the kind of in the country
Yeah, it's right there.
as it now exists. Give it a year or two, and
I know things are
Ah.
changing. Mint Hill is. We were just out. My wife and I went out last night on a date night to Char Bar, and we were looking at it. It's like, man, this place has changed a lot since.
that's the point.
The first time I lived in Mint Hill was in the late 80s, early 90s, and then moved up to Maryland, 5th grade through college. But, just looking at Mint Hill and how much it's changed, it's wild.
It is wild, and fortunately, I've got a good friend named Tony Long, and I know Dale Dalton. All of them are, and Brad Simmons, I think the mayor. I met the whole clan down there in Mint Hill, the McGee's,
Oh
the
yeah,
True Light community.
yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful people. Mint Hill's like, to me, Mint Hill's kind of special, and I don't know why I say that other than I know so many people. Cale Hallman, and
Hmm.
he's a chairman of the board for Put Tools in Schools.
Nice.
Matter of fact, I was on the radio this week with Cale on Bo Thompson,
Mhm.
1110 WBT, and that was great. But the point is, Mint Hill just has I don't know, something to it, but it's growing
Yeah, I
by
often
leaps
think.
and bounds.
I often think to myself, when we moved, because my father is a naval pilot, and so that's why we were in San Diego. He got out of got into the Navy Reserves, and he started flying for Piedmont Airlines,
Okay.
and then eventually became U.S. Airways. And when we first moved, we moved to Indian Trail, lived there for a bit, and then when my mom and father built a house in Ash Plantation and Bob McLemore Homes
Oh yeah,
back in the day.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they
like
built.
Farmwood,
Mhm,
another Bob McLemore community.
right.
Grew up with that.
And so we lived there in the late 80s, early 90s, and I used to think to myself, why didn't my parents even pick this place? But it was cool. I mean, no complaints. But I often would think back, like, how did we pick this place? But Mint Hill, for whatever reason, I've always had a special place in my heart. Growing up there. When I lived there, there was nothing there. It
Oh, I
was
know.
cattle and cotton, beans, and corn, and no 485 and woods, and that was part of like. We lived the track. I don't know the name of the new neighborhood. I want to say it's Meadow Ridge or something like that. They cleared all the woods out behind my father's house.
Stripped the land.
They stripped it and they put a big development in there. I think a lot of that.
Put a house farm right in there. Planted them seeds, and the houses popped up.
Yeah. Oh, and they went up fast. They grow fast.
Oh man, yeah.
But those woods back there, the creek and the woods, that's like part of my life too. Is like growing up in those woods.
Oh yeah.
I used to go back in there and get
Well,
lost.
I relate to that so much as being a kid in Charlotte that grew up in Clanton Park.
Mhm.
Well, Clanton Park back in the, same thing, same exact thing of what you're talking about. We'd go play in the lakes. We'd play in 77 wasn't there.
Right.
Clanton Road and 77 is where I grew up, my childhood. Those were woods, a farmland there. We'd
Mhm.
ride go-karts up and down Clanton Road like it was a racetrack or whatever, but as kids, because it was basically a secondary road,
Right.
back then, and there was nothing on it. A junkyard up there at the corner of South Tryon and Clanton. In 56, the city limit sign was 50 yards beyond Clanton Road on South Tryon. That was in 56. So, like Mint Hill, look what happened to Charlotte. And,
Urban sprawl.
oh my God. And you know what? It's getting terrible. Traffic, unbelievable.
Yeah, on the way here this morning, there was a car spun out and smashed into the Jersey wall right there at Pecan Avenue. Do you say pecan or pecan? But it was Pecan Avenue.
I love pecan. That
Yeah.
works.
So smashed down on there. I was like, of course, Saturday morning, I got to get to a show. And there's a
Ah,
10-minute delay because somebody, I don't know what they were doing, how they could end up like that. But it's like Mad Max and the Thunderdome out there on the highways.
well, Saturday mornings are typically a very, very, very slow traffic day. Very slow. Very, very. But today it seems it was a little more. I think Labor Day weekend's got
Right.
something to do with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And, so, but But so you're planted in Mint Hill now, your
Mhm.
business. You got a technician now. You'd say it.
Yeah, I've had him. He's been working for me as a young guy.
Where'd you
and,
get him? Can I hear the story?
He lives in my neighborhood. Yeah. So his father was like, "Hey, my son might want a job with you," and he's an Eagle Scout.
Oh Lord, you
and
said a
he's-
mouthful.
Yeah, and he's
Any
a good
Eagle
kid.
Scout, you've given me a whole foundational description of a child if he's an Eagle Scout.
Yep, he was troop. I think it's the 144 Blair Road one. Is
Okay.
that's where he went.
Okay.
I know, definitely know it was Blair Road, but he came to me and said, "Hey," his father's like, "Hey, you might want a job with you," and I said, "Okay," and then I didn't really pursue it. I get busy or whatever, and then he just came and said, "Hey, I'm interested in a job." So, all right. So
How old was he?
at the time he was 17.
Cool.
So he would do ride-alongs mostly with me at
Shadow you,
first.
yeah.
Right. And then when he turned 18, then I started having him work with me more.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
On that note, because I'm working as a mentor, coach, teacher, whatever you want to call me. Somebody yell at him and say, "Ah!"
Yeah, sometimes you have to yell out.
but well, you do.
Yeah.
It's called tough love.
That's right.
And I've told my student, look, I'm not fussing at you, but I'm going to be in your face because you got to remember this stuff. Okay. On that note, when I want to pay everybody that works with me, but they're not worth anything. You know what I'm talking about. And it sounds very critical, but I look at people like tools. If you're not worth $20 an hour, then you're not worth anything. You get where I'm coming from?
Oh,
now, I'm not trying to be mean, but in our world today, we need to be fair and just with people. But these kids coming out of school, that's my question.
The cost of living.
Of course, he's an Eagle Scout.
Yeah, the cost of living, exactly. In
he's not a dummy.
The learning and training curve for my industry is steep and continuous.
You never stop.
So it takes a long time to develop. So you have to, earn your stripes on it, to be honest. But I get it from the other end too, where people have student loan debt, or they want to, become separate and independent. But the cost of living out there to rent somewhere is so outrageous that they have to be paid these.
I agree.
It's tough.
All right, but we'll talk more about it. We got to take a break. 704-227-8986 if you care to call in and discuss or have any additional info you want to toss out there. Andrew Cole, Song Dog Wildlife's in the house. We're going to talk critters and stuff. I love stories by Andrew. I'm looking forward to the entertainment value here because he deals with critters and things you don't want in your house or around your house or close to your house for that matter. So we'll talk more about Andrew and many other things just in life in general right here on About Your House, Fox Sports Charlotte. We'll be right back.
More about the show? Go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Carolina Foundation Solutions is a family-owned and operated company and a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina, providing foundation solutions from the mountains to the sandy shores of the coast. At Carolina Foundation Solutions, our objective is to help educate, offer guidance, and provide assistance. With over 200 years of combined experience, our family of experts are ready to help protect and repair your largest investments. If you have a problem, we have a solution. Call 877-883-4626 or online, carolinafoundationsolutions.com.
Go outside and take a look at your home. Are the gutters doing their job? The number one enemy to your home is water. Most homes are built with small, inadequate gutters and small downspouts. ABS Insulating has a division of the company that does nothing but gutter services. All gutter services: cleaning, maintaining, repair, new downspouts, replacement, and new gutters with many types available. They're a leader when it comes to gutter protection. Call ABS Insulating today, 704-821-4343 or absinsulating.com.
Owens Chimney Systems is known for all professional chimney services since 1989, including chimney cleaning, recommended annually, chimney evaluations and inspections, any and all chimney repairs and restorations, gas fireplace and gas fire log service, furnace cleaning, cleaning out one of the most overlooked appliances in the home. Get it done right the first time. That's Owens Chimney Systems at 704-554-9595. Or you can visit us online at owenschimneysystems.com.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Talking to Andrew Cole, Song Dog Wildlife, and your new technician. 17-year-old started with you.
He's
Shadowed
20
you.
now.
He's 20.
He's been with me for 3 years.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, he's been with me for 3.5 years, and he's a licensed wildlife control agent. I've
So he
sent him
grabbed
through.
he's serving his passion.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's an Eagle Scout. He's into the outdoors. He likes to hike and stuff. And
What's his biggest? And we're not mentioning his name and talking about him,
Sure.
but I'm gonna relate some facts here because it relates to a lot of kids out of high school and around high school. Not all, but most of it's through the biggest issue we've got, and that's broken homes and single parent being raised. Big problem. Okay, big problem. And I'm seeing it firsthand. Okay. Now I'm not saying this gentleman is, but the most important thing we do every day, and I drill this home every day because it's so important. I'll teach everybody and anybody, even adults, the most important thing we do in relationships, in life, every day is communicate.
Yep.
If you don't have good communication skills, your success level will be related to that.
mm-hmm.
So
yeah, communicating and getting involved. So you mentioned, you kids that are with single parents and such. If a parent is overwhelmed with their work or can't afford to do something, the best thing you could do is get involved with a good program or organization that may have a mentorship program, or even some of the kids in my neighborhood that my son was friends with, and I got him into hunting, showed him. All it takes is the one guy in the neighborhood or a
but
scout
you are a
troop.
mentor. You're that guy.
Yeah.
You're that guy. I'm that guy. We don't have a lot of that guys around.
But if you don't know about it and you don't get involved,
right?
It's like what even got me down the path of wildlife control was getting involved in trapping. Just a quick, progression of how it happened. I had a landowner a place I deer hunted. She says, I have beaver out there in the back creek. They're cutting all the trees down. Do you know anything about getting rid of them, trapping them? I was like, sure, I'll try. I didn't know what I was doing. Kind of went off of
education time. We're going to find out how to not trap me some beavers.
Right. So I went and of course, a lot of the stuff I did at first was all wrong. And that was the first introduction to trapping. And then when I started my job with the Wildlife Commission on the coast, we would hire out, because we mostly managed for waterfowl. So we would get beaver and muskrat in our waterfowl impoundments. It's kind of funny. It's like we're managing for wetland species, but then sometimes they would work against our efforts to improve it. So we would have to trap out, muskrats and beaver that would clog up water control structures, cause damage to the dams and dikes where we're trying to hold water for wading birds and waterfowl. But when I first started my job, the USDA, we would just basically sub everything to USDA to trap and remove. But then we ran out of money in our budget to hire them to manage the beaver. And at one of our meetings, somebody was like, "Wait, what are we going to do about trapping beaver?" And I just stood up and said, "I'll do it." And even then, I had my introduction to trapping in Maryland, where I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But I got into it, and I worked with a guy with USDA. One of the guys that I worked with that was actually a hunter safety instructor. He worked on the law enforcement side of thing. He introduced me to trapping, and eventually, I was good at it. I'm an outdoorsman.
Well,
so
you figured it out.
I figured it out.
You're the animal that humans are. Okay, if that makes a bit of sense.
Right.
And that's what I respect and honor about you, because you're a true thoroughbred nature buff who's connected, grounded to nature, and that's how you learned.
Yeah, my study of like all the way back to just watching nature programs, going out and studying animals. It was like a lot in wildlife control. There's a lot of things and elements in different parts of it, but the basic one that sits at the base and the foundation of it all is animal behavior. If you don't know what's
Like people.
right, exactly. That's nature spans across everything from people to the world.
And we're all living,
We're all
living entities of that.
Take all this building away and all the shoes and clothes, you're standing there barefooted on the ground,
naked.
right?
You're born naked, 2 arms, 2 legs, hands, feet, and the ability to do anything, create anything, and go out and eat and survive, just like the squirrels, the deer, the bears,
Right.
and lions and tigers, all those things. We are that.
So
Are we not?
Right. So if you want to be successful, you have to understand the intricacies and elements and behaviors and everything involved with nature. And it's interesting how wildlife, has adapted to people, and how nuisance wildlife can be here in urban and metro areas of Charlotte. It's interesting. It's funny. It's like when I was sitting at South Boulevard one time and you see a squirrel going across a power line with a piece of pizza in its mouth.
Yeah.
And you're like, that squirrel knows about that trash can where that pizza's at.
Oh, they know their environments.
They adapt.
And they're smart.
Right.
They have very intelligent little brains, regardless of what you might think. Oh, it's just a rodent. It's just a whatever. Well, let me tell you something. Squirrels, if you don't think they're smart, just watch them.
Oh, yeah. They're very intelligent. And when people get squirrels in their attic, and that's like probably the most common animal we deal with. And this past spring, 46% of my business was squirrels in attics. And 99% of structural squirrel issues are females that chew into attic spaces, and the reason they do that is because they get the first choice. They get top choice for nesting. The male has nothing to do with rearing the young, but it's like the female's like, if you want our species to survive and continue on, then I get the best choice for nesting. And the best choice for nesting, is an attic space. It's the most secure. And then, of course, squirrels that are born and raised in attic spaces
gravitate back to attic spaces.
Yeah. And
they hang out.
Right. And their litters are going to be an average 3 to 4. So if you have 50-50 sex ratio, half of them are males, half of them are females, you would think that some of the attics out there would have, some males in them. But it's basically revolving around the breeding cycle and the nesting.
Environmental situations of life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
habitat.
That's exactly right. And right now we're starting to pick up with squirrel work because the fall litter has started. So they have 2 to 3 litters a year, one in the spring, one in the fall.
Okay. I was going to ask squirrels because I know in the city, 46%.
And that's everywhere. Yeah. Now we do coyote and beaver and open space wildlife. We do a lot of structural stuff primarily. That's what we do, a lot of animal proofing and exclusion. We'll get animals out of structures, bats, raccoons, possums, all kinds of different structural animals that find a house and they want to make it their habitat,
well,
their
and
nesting site.
That's the point, one of the largest points we talk about on the show here. And, how do animals in the city life meld?
Right.
What issues? You just mentioned bats, squirrels. Gee whiz.
All your top structural nuisance wildlife that, if they're born and raised in a space, a crawl space, an attic space, the boxing, the wall void or whatever, if they learn that, they're going to continue to do that. So it's like if a squirrel is born and raised in an attic space and the mother is not going to share that space with a bunch of other squirrels, it's her domain. She's going to, after 15 to 20 weeks of raising them up, she kicks them out. They go find their own piece of the pie. But what's interesting is like you would think you would find some males here and there, which you occasionally do, but most of
No,
it's
they're
females.
chasing other females.
Yeah, they're it's funny. It's like and the
Squirrels, they
parallels
don't-
of people.
Squirrels don't mate for life and all that like some animals.
Yeah, no. Like coyotes will pair up and form a pair bond and mate for life. You see that with Canada geese too.
Yeah,
A
a
lot
lot
of
of bird fowl.
a lot
do
of
that.
different species. Some form pair bonds, and then other species will have packs or herds or whatever. They have different social systems. But in the squirrel world and a lot of the rodent world is they meet.
Open game.
Yeah, yeah, they breed, and then the male goes on his way, breeds another female, and then the females will raise the young. And again, that's why you see and the females get top choice for nesting. It may be around the food stores, you may see the males more aggressive or competitive, but the females, they get the top choice for nesting. If they want the species to survive, she says, "Hey, I get the top choice."
I get you.
And
Right. So, and squirrels are just squirrels.
Yeah, and every January, it never fails. We'll go through a breeding cycle in December, November. There will be a 45-day gestation period, real quick turnaround time for having young. They'll start chewing in holes or pushing in, chewing in, and then come February, you start seeing your first spring litters. And then, that cycle goes through May, sometimes extends into June. And then you'll see the next round here now in August into September.
Right. Here we are talking about squirrels, the invasive nature of squirrels. And we don't talk about mice and rats a lot. But how invasive are mice? I mean, everywhere I go, not everywhere, but in most, I'd say 60% of the houses, like I pull a dishwasher out, I'm going to see mice droppings.
Oh, yeah.
And then sometimes you see some big ones,
Yeah.
and then sometimes you see some bigger ones. And
if you're seeing that, you're probably working in.
well, crawl spaces especially.
All
I
right.
mean, you see, remnants of animals all in crawl spaces from cats,
Oh, yeah.
even dogs.
Yep.
I mean, to raccoons, to possums, to everything.
Skunks.
Skunks. Now, hadn't run across many skunks in my day, but you can tell they've got a distinctive odor, no question about
Right.
it. And especially if they spray, and
We don't see a lot of them in the interior metro area of Charlotte, but surrounding counties and country areas, we'll get a fair amount of skunk calls. But that's you're talking about animals in crawl spaces. Possums are like big vertebrates. They're probably number one. But mice and rodents, the most closely tied animal to all of human existence are rodents.
well, yeah.
Mice. They follow man around. And almost every house I go to, I see evidence of two things to some degree: smoky brown cockroaches and mice. Almost every structure, uptown to the sticks, I see evidence of those two things.
Smoky brown roaches
Mhm.
are so prevalent in the Charlotte metro area due
Oh,
to
yeah.
trees.
Right.
Due to the trees.
Willow oaks
Now, and
and
people,
all in the green
people
space.
think, well, it's filth. Well, that adds that's a food source.
Mhm.
But the fact of the matter is, most smoky brown roaches get in your house because of trees.
They'll find construction gaps. They'll crawl up the structure, drift over. But they especially like it if you have dirty gutters full of detritus and leaf matter. But if you have gaps in the roof line or the soffits and the louver vents, matter of fact, when we do seal ups for rodents and mice and bats and stuff, if we do a full seal up, we'll have a lot of times we'll have people remark like, "Hey, I'm glad you did, we did that because we've actually seen a significant reduction in the amount of roaches we were seeing." Because you can see, you can't maybe not entirely eliminate the entry of roaches, but if you seal, shield, vent guard, prevent animals from coming in, you'll see a lot of things, that can't find their way in. But yeah, you're right. Especially in these areas where there's lots of willow oak.
Yeah,
And
Myers Park, Dilworth,
Right.
Plaza Midwood, old trees.
Uh-huh.
And there's lots of them, and they're very well established. And the whole environment around the whole wildlife scene is very well established.
Right.
And so that's a lot of Smoky Browns. Yeah, that's number one.
Almost
thing
every attic I go to, you'll see the the frass and the stains in the corner, or see them stuck to glue boards, or see them
I'll
skirting
tell you
around.
something. One of the scary, and I've told this story before, but we did a house over on Sunnyside, over in Greer Heights,
Mhm.
Section 8 house.
Oof.
We went in there when he first bought it, and we redid the whole house. It was funky. Okay, he painted it, refinished the floors, put new cabinets in, put new countertops in, new sink, new everything, just new. I was very involved with that little remodel upfit. Okay,
Mhm.
a year later, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
we went in there, and Lord, roaches were everywhere,
Mhm.
and it was empty because we were called in there to do some repairs. And I sent Ryan, I never forget it. There were mattresses on the floor,
Ugh.
2 bedrooms. And I said, Ryan, I want you to go back there and pick those mattresses up and put them against the wall.
I already know what's going to happen here.
He starts screaming, ah! And comes running back in there. Man, I picked that mattress up and roaches went everywhere. And then I says, well, what's this? I opened the cabinet above the microwave and they all fell out. Literally, roaches just fell out. And I says, we're out of here. I says, we're calling Killo. And Killo came over there, and I called the owner, and I said, you got to get Killo over here.
Is that probably like American or German cockroaches or something?
So all of the above, I think. There was an army in there, and they were fighting each other.
Yeah. If you have that kind of roach problem, it's like you can smell them even.
Oh, yeah. You're exactly right.
It's got a
Well,
distinct
you can
odor.
smell mice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, when you get a lot of mice, you can smell
every
it.
animal has a distinct odor.
Oh,
Squirrels, raccoons,
You know the worst one?
bats. Bats are the one that you sometimes I can even tell the difference between some of the different species we deal with. Like, you have Mexican free-tailed bats and big brown bats. And for whatever reason, those free-tails, they like to eat a lot of kudzu bugs and stinky insects, right?
Right.
That give off those obnoxious smells. And it's like, I guess it changes the smell of their guano and urine, but it's like you'll open an attic space and be like, oh, yeah, you have bats. The noise you hear, and I can tell you right out the gate. What do you mean you already know? I was like, I smelled that smell a million times. Yeah, you have bats in there.
All the animals, like you say, has got an odor. But I'm going to say it. The number one offensive odor to me by all animals, cat spray.
Yeah.
I cannot stand it.
Yeah, it's
in a crawl space.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and you know what I'm talking about.
And it's not
it just
far off.
permeates.
Right. You could. It's like skunk quill. It's like if you could. I always make the joke. You could get it on you if you were upwind of it. It just clings to you. If you get it on anything, it's almost destroyed.
It's horrible.
It's like these coveralls are got to be thrown away now.
We had a house up in Highland Creek. Never forget it. It had a projection of a bay window out front.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I looked up under it. I don't know why I look up under those things, really to see if they're sealed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, my God, I know what we're going to find here. And I opened the crawl space door, and the odor just like, whoa. I said, I ain't going under there. I sent Ryan.
Send the grease, man.
Yeah, I sent him. I said, you're going under this crawl. And I said, and it's not going to be pleasant. He says, why? I said, go open the crawl space door. And it was probably one of the worst I'd ever had. But that odor comes back if it gets wet.
Yeah.
It can be reactivated. And God, it's
you have to treat for it or hit it with even like, if it gets, in structures, you pull up carpeting where
exactly.
We had a rental unit one time. My father-in-law and I went to a rental unit. We'd do some work for a guy that has a bunch of rental properties, and they had this particular family had dogs and cats, and they were just marking over top of each other constantly. When we pulled up the carpeting in this place, the subfloor was just stained. And the only way you could get rid of it was just to like treat it, replace some of it, and then
take it up and replace it.
Right. Hit it with Kills or whatever, encapsulate
seal
and paint.
it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but we bring these things up because a lot of people don't think of their cats as a detrimental animal. And I'm not criticizing cats, although I'm not a cat fan, but that spray, oh, I don't like it. And they're mostly males that do that, right? The
Yeah.
males.
Yep, I've caught him before in traps, for other, trying to target some other animal.
Feral cats.
Yeah, get a feral cat in a trap, and I caught a big tomcat one time and let him go. But whenever I got him out of the trap, man, those gloves, it was amazing because this cat was obviously stressed and pissed off, and he's going, urinating all over the place. Whenever I just barely touch that cat to pick him up out of the trap and release him, man, those gloves were ruined. The smell was so pungent and so bad, so strong. And I tried to kind of clean them off, but those leather gloves were destroyed.
Is there any other odor as bad as that one?
Skunks.
Skunks and cats. Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing how we love our cats, but oh my God.
And it's funny too, because if you get barn cats or feral cats and they're living in a crawl space and a skunk comes in and decides to take it over, you may see I'll see this out in say Unionville in Union County, somebody get a skunk and cat fight in their crawl space.
Oh my goodness.
And the skunk's like, oh yeah, you think you're gonna live here? He just starts spraying all over the place. And the runs all the cats out with the quill, but then their house.
So that's what you call a skunk spray quill.
Yeah, and that skunk essence, that skunk quill, it's such powerful stuff. I mean, it takes.
What do you do to get rid of that? I mean, in a crawl space to a house, okay, you come in and first of all, you got to get rid of the skunk. How you get rid of that skunk?
Well, you can, trap and remove it at the entry point if they've pulled out a foundation vent or they're scooting through a duct
Point
passage.
of entry,
right?
yeah.
So you can trap and remove them or do an eviction. Where you just put a one-way door.
They can
over
get
the
in
hole.
or get out, but they can't get back in.
Right. So there are various methods.
And they're going to get out for survival and food and what have you, right?
Right.
The crawl space is nothing more but habitat.
That's right. They're using
Primarily.
as a denning space, or,
Right.
for shelter,
Living
sleeping,
quarters.
right, or birthing young, whatever it may be. But and if they get in there and get into a territorial spat with another skunk, or there's during the breeding season, a male's chasing down a female or something, or if it's a space taken up by cats and they want it, that's where you'll see them spray. And so there are various types of liquids, aerosol treatments that you can do through
That can get expensive.
Yeah.
I mean,
it depends on square footage
And I
and what
bring
needs to
all
be
this
done.
up because, folks, that's why we bring this man on here, Andrew Cole, because he knows his stuff and he does it every day, other than weekends and time he goes to the woods and hunts and fishes and not. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. But eliminating animals and animal proofing the house is something you do.
Oh yeah, that's primarily what we do. We do a variety of different services, and a lot of it is open space, or you're managing wildlife in whatever capacity in municipalities and HOAs or whatever. But primarily what we do is, structural, both residential, commercial. If you're to basically break it down simply, it's, remove the animal from the structure and then repair an animal proof to keep it from happening again.
Gotcha. All right. Come on back. We'll talk to Andrew Cole a little bit more. Well, a lot more actually about, a few stories and animals and the invasive nature of animals. What you might want to be aware of that animals actually mess up in your house. We'll talk. Andrew's got some stories.
Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Hey there, Hacksaw Helbig here, and I'm here to talk about Crown Town Cannabis, Charlotte's original CBD and hemp resource, where the staff can help you with any questions or concerns. All of their products are third-party tested for purity and quality. Oils, edibles, Delta-9, topical creams, vapes, THC, flower, and products to help the pets. Visit the new store in South End at 115 Park Avenue. All 4 Charlotte area stores open 7 days a week. Check out online for the store near you. Go to crowntowncannabis.com.
The professionals at Kilo Exterminating Company have over 70 years of experience in pest control. Throughout the years, they always pride themselves on maintaining the highest standard of quality and customer service, with every technician being state certified. And moisture readings are standard with every inspection. Their top priority is ensuring your home is free from pests such as ants, mosquitoes, termites, and any other pests wreaking havoc on your home. That's Kilo Exterminating at 704-333-9855 or online, kilo.biz. That's 704-333-9855.
Hi, Roddy Player here with Queen City Audio, Video, and Appliances. Do you ever wonder how a local, family-owned business can compete with the big box national chain stores? It's simple. As part of North America's largest buying group, we have over $15 billion in buying power. We buy products at great prices from more manufacturers than any chain store, period, and we pass those savings on to you. So buy local and save more at Queen City, where you'll always find the right product, right price, and real answers guaranteed.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. You're listening here, I think, if you are, About Your House right here on the Fox Sports Charlotte. Download the free app, stream us live, by far the best way to hear us. Or you can go on your browser, that's on your little computer, a smart device, whatever it might be, and put in there foxsportsradiocharlotte.com, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, About Your House radio page. There you go. So I got a quick story to throw in here. It's a good a place to do it as any. You know, we talk about structures and, you know, what we do collectively. We go out and service whatever the service might be. Well, my buddy Steve Helms, who purchased or bought my business, All Metal Dryer Vent Corporation. Well, he bought it. Now he's All Metal Dryer Vent Solutions, but basically calls himself the All Metal Dryer Vent. Okay. Well, he calls me. We get tough ones every now and then, you know, and he goes out and sees things he can't figure out. Well, he calls me. And so he called me. We went out, and we've talked about all these apartments in Charlotte for many years now, Steve and I. He's been with me we've been together now, I think, right at 14 years. You know, I helped there again. He's that technician you hired. Okay. He was that technician that I hired and helped train and teach and all that. Well, we went out to a four or five story, I think it's a 4-story high-rise apartment building over off of Moorhead Street this on Thursday. And the deal was the dryer vent's clogged and not venting, which is a fire hazard, overheating, and this, that, and the other. And we talk about that a lot on the show here. And kind of out of sight, out of mind. Well, anyway, we went, and he couldn't figure out where it went because there's no evidence of any exit port in the building for this dryer vent. Now, you can see all those little hooded dampers up the side of the building, you know, but up on the top, there's 2 units up there on the very top that doesn't have a hood. But all the rest of them have hoods, but this one's not evident or visible. So we go, it's a flat roof built in 2008. So we go up there on the roof, and we see all the compressors, air conditioner compressors on the roof, and these little square look like dog houses, flat roof dog houses, and all the refrigeration lines are coming from those.
Right.
Like 4 or 5 at a time to different compressors. And immediately my mind said, they're venting in them boxes. But I didn't, I saw, why would anybody vent in a box with no exit port? That's just wrong.
Right.
And so anyway, we go to start cutting holes in the roof because we can't see where this ductwork's going. Come to find out, that rascal's venting right into that little doghouse with no exit port. Wrong. Now,
what are we going to do about these top 2 floors? I'll just vent them out the top and
vent them out in
Vent
this
'em into the
dead
wall void.
airspace. Yeah, vent them into a dead airspace. That's
Yeah.
the way to do it. Anyway,
that's
and I'm sharing that because this goes on all the time. We've talked a lot here recently about the lack of quality in construction. We've seen and talked and heard from home inspectors, and we're going to hear about Andrew today because you've seen it.
Oh yeah.
You've seen the lack of quality in construction, right? It's part of some of the reasons you have the invasive nature the invasion of animals.
Yeah, by nature, structures are going to have utilities and construction gaps and all kinds of stuff that animals can take advantage of. I hear people all the time say, well, why wasn't the house built better? Why do I have, how are the bats getting in the soffit return? Shouldn't this have been flashed or sealed up? And, some of that's not code. Some of it's just natural construction, but then you do see stuff where you're like, I'll look up and you'll get up on a roof and you'll see where you'll have 2 pitches come together and you'll get up into a place where it's out of sight,
Sure.
Can't see it from my house. And so you'll see a panel of soffit missing for 3 feet. And you're like, what happened on this one? Did they forget about it, or they were like, screw it, I'm not going to do it? They won't see it.
And you've been in attics where you've seen voids in insulation, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You've seen it in many, and people say, why does this happen? You hear it a lot on this show, and you're going to continue to hear it because stupid has become a serious issue. We're not teaching. In the industry of construction, we're not teaching and following up and even controlling our qualities, our controls.
And it's also it's a variety of things. But if
it
let's
is
say
a
a
variety.
contractor's spread thin, his guys don't show up, his subs don't show up, so it holds up the bus. So now you got to jump from this job over to this job. Now this client's wondering what's going on. You lose your speed and momentum on that job. You go to another job, you come back to that job, and you forget that soffit panel. You forget it because that's a job that you were working on 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now you got to cycle and circle back. It's a variety of things. I think if people get shorted money or they get a bigger job or they get spread thin, they lose a guy.
But the whole point
whatever.
to all this is around professionalism and the lack thereof.
Yeah, the thoroughness is where, the follow through, and if you have a lot of moving parts in a business or a service, it's going to be more difficult. And the more people you depend on whether it's subs or in-house service technicians.
I call it the OP factor. Other people.
Yeah, the OP factor.
OP factor.
Yeah. And my father-in-law, who's a licensed GC for, years and years, he's dealt with that, where it's like, all right, well, we got to wait for this guy to do his work, and he's held up, and then he holds up the whole train.
Yeah, and it is a train. It's a big puzzle, actually, and the pieces have to fit together, and the better they fit together, the better the house is going to be.
Right.
And construction is a big puzzle, but back to the point, the lack of quality is all centered around the lack of education in the trades.
Sure, and I see it in my industry. I mean, there's probably, I would say at this point, maybe 60 companies in Charlotte, around Charlotte, in South Carolina, that pest control companies that do wildlife companies exclusively, national companies, local franchises, locally owned businesses. And certainly this service industry is not in its infancy. It's been around for a while. And it is remarkable how people don't know about wildlife control companies. I didn't even know you guys existed. But the point is, you'll see a wide spectrum of quality.
I have.
You'll see some people using expanding foam as a sealing agent, which is terrible. And then you'll see aluminum flashing versus steel.
Right.
Screen. Instead of properly repairing a squirrel hole, they'll just stuff 1/4-inch wire screen in there and foam it closed. you know,
Really?
or just slap a piece of aluminum coil over the hole, just shoddy, just slap it over there and have a contractor fix it, or they'll say and sell the customer to the customer, oh, we'll take care of it, and they just put this slovenly installed piece of metal over the hole, and it's not waterproof, it's not really animal proof.
I went out and fixed a leak in a roof about 3 or 4 weeks back. And matter of fact, I went to look at a drywall ceiling that has disengaged itself from the joist due to water invasion. Okay. And the water came in, drip, opened the seam up. You get the picture. Textured ceiling. Well, my buddy Gary Crump says, can you go over and help me see what's going on? I said, sure. We're going to have to rip the ceiling down. And right off the bat, I said, oh, no, I do not want to rip a ceiling down because that is just messy.
Yeah, you open a can of worms big time.
In a living room? Are you kidding me? But after seeing it, I says, no, we're going to shore that puppy up with some flat wood and stiff knees, and we're going to let it dry out in place, because when it dries out in place, it'll be fine. Because it drained. Okay, it didn't sit there and permeate very long. So I go over there and look at it, and I look immediately up, and say, we can do this. So we stiff kneed it back up. Now it's dry. That's been about 4 weeks. So I'm going over there next week and check it out and see if our prognosis was correct. And if so, I'll screw it back up, do the repair work, drywall repair, and retexture it. But the problem's the water.
Right.
The drywall was a result of the water leak. So what's the problem? We got to fix the water. Fixing that ceiling don't make a bit of difference if the leak ain't fixed. So I go outside and look logistically, where is everything? Well, it's obvious as heck to me. I can see the leak right there. The flashings come off. The exterior sheet metal, okay, like aluminum. And so I said, we got an 8-foot ladder or something I can get on this roof? Somebody said, sure. So I got on the roof and I fixed the flashing, which was the leak. I mean, I could see it.
Boy, you're speaking to me right now, because we see that a lot. You'll miss.
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up.
A lot of wildlife problems start from water. Like I'll see, like an inside corner of a gutter, and the seams are leaking, right? And it's leaking, and it's causing the fascia to rot.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that inside gutter is going to have a valley above it, right?
Yep.
So, the water comes down the valley, leaks out of the gutter, rots the fascia. Then that seeps into the soffit, and the soffit rots out. And then a squirrel finds it, tears it open. Raccoon finds it, tears it open. If you get the raccoon out and then fix the soffit panel and go through all this stuff, but you don't ever fix that leaking gutter, or
we talk about gutters,
it'll be right back to square one.
We talk about gutters as being a major issue all the time on this program. ABS Insulating has got its own gutter division, and they're very reasonably priced. They're not coming out there to upsell you. They're coming out there to fix your gutters. Gutters are an issue. If you've got a gutter on your house, you got gutters. Those gutters require maintenance, just like that car, just like your automobile, or just like your lawnmower. Yep. You don't take care of it, it isn't going to work correctly, and it's going to cause you problems.
I talk to people about gutters a lot, because we do gutter guards. We do leaf solution for gutter guards. And so I went down, and we do it because it's an animal proofing type of thing.
Sure. So you put on gutter guards?
Yep. I've been doing it for a long time.
So you clean gutters?
Yep. We've
cleaned them. Because you can't put gutter guards on unless you clean the gutters.
That's right. And I tell people, I said, if you have trees around you, or pine trees and et cetera, and you don't clean your gutters, because a lot of people are shy about getting gutter guards, because if you get the wrong guard, it could be a total nightmare and cost them a lot.
I don't like gutter guards. I personally, because most of them, they all work to a degree, all of them to some degree. And that degree varies tremendously, and some of the most expensive and gutter helmet types, they don't really do a good job at all.
I don't like any type of helmet.
Yeah.
Now, I like a screen.
Well, I tell you, hold that thought, because we're going to talk to Andrew about gutters.
Well, I love talking gutters. I talk gutters
I know,
a lot.
And I can tell, and I want to get your feedback for everybody listening out there about gutters.
I'll give you my breakdown, what I tell people.
Because I want to hear your honest opinion, because you just told me something that's valuable. This kind of feedback is incredible. And I mean that, because here's a guy How many years you been doing it?
Gosh, I've been in since 2011. So we're going with
15 years.
My own business,
14,
almost 10 years.
14, 10, whatever. And that experience he's achieved through that, big part of that's gutters. So come on back. We're going to talk some trash in gutters. You're listening to Andrew Cole on About Your House. Top of the hour break here. We'll be back. Hour number 2 coming up.
You awake yet? Hour 2, Andrew Cole from Song Dog Wildlife talking his experiences in the fields. Lots of good stories and advice coming up, so stay tuned. About Your House is brought to you in part by PutToolsInSchools.org, connecting students to tools of the trades and raising awareness of the many career pathways. Also brought to you in part by Carolina Foundation Solutions, a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina. From the hills to the coast, if you have a problem, they have a solution. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some time with us. And now, here's your host, Ray Terry.
All right, now that y'all relax, kick back, and ready to go. Hour number 2, Andrew Cole's in the house, Song Dog Wildlife. And we're talking, well, before the break there, we kind of talked about gutters. And, you know, I didn't know Andrew cleaned gutters and put gutter guards on, but that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I went down this path because it's a part of one of our animal proofing services. Lots of different species of animals will get in the gutter and then find the gap, the builder's gap between the roof sheeting and the fascia. Some of those tolerances and gaps, as you know, are, you know, sometimes they're a half inch. Sometimes you can stick your whole hand. You flip the shingle and stick your whole hand in there. So the way of closing off that gap to prevent wildlife and pests from getting in there is through drip edge or gutter guards. Now, the gutter guards, if you did them by themselves, there are special techniques and end capping and shielding services that go along with, you know, preventing them from getting inside the gutter. So it's, you know, there's other things that are involved. But what I tell people is like, I was forced to get into gutter guards because of animal proofing services to be offered. But I tell people all the time, you know, that I said, if you don't have any gutter guards, at minimum, you should probably, at minimum, be cleaning your gutters at least 3 times a year. You know,
I would say bare bones minimum 2, but now you're
yeah,
saying 3,
because
depending on logistics on trees.
yeah, right. So if you live in like in an area where there's lots of different species of trees, pine and hardwoods, you may get the first softwoods that come off in the early fall, and then come by December, the willow oaks come off. So you get like 2 or 3 phases of fall leaves from October through even into January, when oak leaves finally fall off. Then come the springtime, when all the blooms come out and the spring tags
pollen
fall,
time,
and all the pollen, and the pollen's one of the worst at caking up inside of gutters.
It creates a gluish coating.
And that's one of the reasons we have, one of the drawbacks to the gutter guards we install. We use Leaf Solution, and we use a kind that has an expanded metal underlining, and then it has a micro mesh on top. I like the micro mesh because they drink really well. They don't allow water to sheet off, but they're good for grabbing pollen. So they need to be cleaned. So I tell people, irrespective to whether you have gutter guards or not, you need to clean, especially
that's the misnomer and the real popular word these days. Misinformation comes,
right?
Because just because you put a lot of money
into a gutter guard,
like the gutter helmet.
Or people say, well, I put a 6-inch gutter on,
and they're
gonna, and it's going to allow better flowage. Well, if you have a low pitched roof and the valley collects pollen and leaves, and it collects in there and shelves in there, and you get enough material and debris in there, it's not going to drain properly. So it's a lot of times the valleys of the roof and the pitch of the roof have to be considered. And, that goes hand in hand with cleaning gutters, is the valleys of the roof. But if you don't have any gutter guards at all, you should be cleaning them 2 to 3 times, maybe even more a year. And if you don't, well, it's not only do you have to clean the gutter, and it becomes a long-term issue. It can lead to rot, mold, wildlife problems, all kinds of stuff. But then if you have downspout systems that lead into underground drainage and they clog up,
or your cups, your drainage holes, and your gutters are those little bitty ones.
Mm-hmm.
You need bigger downspouts. Actually, I wouldn't put gutters on my house without jumbo downspouts. I don't care what size gutter it is.
Sure,
it would have jumbo downspouts.
Agreed. But, for us, I tell people, I said, if you don't want gutter guards, then we'll use drip edge. We'll go along and put a steel drip edge all the way around, or for a section of a house, whatever. But if you want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, keep all the leaves and debris out, and you want to keep wildlife out, we do this type of gutter guard. But not all gutter guards are created equal.
No,
from the crappy spongy ones, which are horrible, to gutter helmet, to the screens, to the perforated. You have fascia mount. You have the flat back that goes up under the roof sheeting and follows the contour of the roof. There's a variety of kinds. And sometimes people will get a better price from a gutter company versus me and my technician and my cost. We're going to be longer and take longer to do work than, say, a crew of like 8 guys come in and knock it out in an hour.
Right.
They're going to be cheaper than me. But then I tell them too, I said, if you're taking my recommendation to use gutter guards to be animal proof, then don't have them convince you to do a fascia mount type gutter guard that sits level in the gutter and still leaves that gap behind the shingle open. That defeats the purpose.
No, I agree
from an
100%.
animal proofing standpoint.
Sure, I understand.
But yeah, it's like I tell people, you better be, when you have no gutter guards, you have to clean the gutters and consider that maybe even have to clean the downspouts and drainage systems too. Which
the bottom line is, when you own a house, you own a perpetual cash cow. I mean, right?
Oh yeah, it's like
it never stops.
Renters have their problems, and they're not building any equity, and they have their complaints about landlords or the location and the cost and everything, and they're not making anything, building it. And then you have, the people I've met, and wildlife problems don't discriminate. So I go into everybody's neighborhoods, from the ghettos to the fanciest
multi-million-dollar homes,
big castles down in Marvin and Waxhaw, these huge estates behind gated communities. And so the people that own houses, they're just like, this is a money pit. It's one thing after another.
It never stops. And people say, Why would you? I will never own, and I don't want a house because of the maintenance. It's just ongoing every day. It's perpetual.
if you have a and
I'm
based
not
on
trying to be negative. That's the reality.
Sure. And people will downsize or their lives change, kids move out, or like single people, like maybe renting is better for their budget and their
Sure.
whatever their lifestyle
So
they built.
when something goes wrong, you pick up the phone, call somebody. They're responsible for fixing it.
That's right. So it's
And good luck.
creative solutions and money management, et cetera, et cetera. But if you want to have a house or, you want it to be yours and you design it and maintain it, yeah, it comes with a cost.
Well, there is something to be said for building a house correctly with low maintenance idea involved with building it. Like I've said many times, I've known through the years, on this maintenance issue. Well, let me go to a fact. We're talking about gutters. I'm going to talk the other side of the coin. Does your house absolutely have to have gutters? No, it doesn't. If you're on a hill, on a downward slope, and you've got natural, good surface drainage, landscape drainage around your house, you don't need gutters, but you need to be aware of the drainage and the
Right.
runoff, because if it's not done correctly, you're going to have troughs and trenches around your house where
That's
the
right.
water hits the ground.
Or
But-
if you have like a foundation vent with a well on it, right?
Yeah, water's
And-
going to go right in
yeah,
there.
and then you got water in your crawl space, which could lead to mold, mildew, all that stuff.
Oh, so many things. Water's your biggest enemy. Can't live with it, can't live without it.
It's
But gutters, we talk so much about them, and now that you brought critter control, it's a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. And like I said, we'll do patch services if they can't afford to do stretches or the whole house, and we'll do sections of the house. We'll do the whole thing. But yeah, that one of the biggest entry points for animals into attic space is going to be that builder's gap.
Gotcha.
And so squirrels are notorious for it. And then all your small animals, flying squirrels, bats, smoky brown cockroaches, deer mice, rat snakes, they'll just simply get in the gutter and then go right into the attic. If that builder gap behind the shingle, behind the gutter, because you have your fascia, you have your roof sheeting with the shingle, the fascia where the gutter's mounted, and the gutter, will provide a platform for animals to travel back and forth, to chew in, to simply
Right.
crawl into, and then crawl into the attic. So, that's why we got into the gutter guard drip edge game. It's like we got to come up with a solution here to help prevent animals and water from getting in.
You brought a tool in with you today.
I
It's
did.
kind of in the line of sheet metal.
Yeah.
And you said he brought this tool in here, and what do you call it?
It's a Wuko. The name of the brand is Wuko Bender. It's a Japanese metal bender. It's meant for I call it my little mini portable brake.
Well, it's a mini sheet metal tool.
But we do a lot of custom services with sheet metal. We use a bonderized steel that I buy out of Tennessee. It's a paintable steel. It's different from your regular galvanized and other stuff. But
So what come in sheets?
yeah, I'll have it cut into certain types of sizes that will fit for what we're doing. So like one of our custom services for like making a rake return or a soffit return animal proof and waterproof is we'll cut steel sheet metal to fit over the fascia and the soffit panel. And that will make that return animal proof and waterproof. So we'll cut the metal. And if I want to install a shield that starts at the return at the bottom at the gutter and goes up the fascia, and we want to match the shingle molding that's on that fascia on say that rake board, then I will take careful measurements of the shingle molding, and then I will use this tool to roll and seam the metal to closely match the shingle molding.
Well,
So
ain't you something?
so it's pretty cool. You can see some of those pictures of that work on our Facebook page. My website's there just to be a website, so you won't see anything there. It needs work. I've been procrastinating on it, but
That's a job in itself, bro.
yeah, I know. I do I don't do any advertising. It's all word of mouth anyways, and we stay plenty busy. But Yeah, if you want to see that some of the metal work that we do, you can go to our Facebook page to see it. But we try.
Facebook page Song Dog Wildlife.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
But whenever we're doing an animal proofing service, no matter the house, we want it to match the house, be aesthetically pleasing. Sometimes it could be an HOA concern, but we want it to be aesthetically pleasing, adhere to structural code, be waterproof and animal proof. So if we install a shield that squirrels can't chew through, because you can replace. It doesn't matter if it's AZEK, PVC boarding, or brand new wood. If you
on that
fix
note,
a
what about
squirrel hole-
cementous board? Cementous siding, hardy plank.
Squirrels chew through it as well. It doesn't
So
matter.
really,
yeah.
it really hadn't deterred them that
If
much.
you want to see, again, pictures of squirrel damage, you can see the Facebook page as well. And you can look on Google. I've posted some stuff there. But squirrels and raccoons will tear apart any kind of material. It's amazing what they'll do, especially squirrels. You can't, when I trap and remove a squirrel, sometimes we will do a repair. If we have to cut out fascia and replace it, I'll do a lot of AZEK and PVC boarding. And then I'll follow up that repair with an animal proofing service, because
they'll come back to that same place.
If you replace with brand new wood or whatever, and people say, I don't want the metal on my house, I just want it to look the way it originally looked. Well, it's susceptible for the next squirrel 2 to 3 years down the line. If you live in a neighborhood that has a lot of squirrel problems, you have that renter or the person on the street on your block that's ignoring or unaware of their problem, they're pumping out squirrels that know about addicts. And so, you may get rid of a squirrel problem. We'll get rid of that squirrel problem that go round. But if you don't properly animal proof behind repairs, it could simply be chewed right back open. So that's where we will do repairs within reason. And, but the way I constitute a repair is mending, fixing, replacing existing structural features. But what I constitute as animal proofing and exclusion is actually installing custom made materials or a prefabricated product that will keep the animal from chewing in or regaining entry. So that's where we use this tool to custom shape and roll and
That's
mend
neat.
steel.
I'm gonna go on your Facebook page and take a look. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How'd you come across that?
Doing a lot of research when I first started my business, especially when you're excited about starting a business, like what separates me from the
your
competition?
niche. Yeah,
what can I do that's customary or different? You see a lot of bad exclusion work out there. It's like, how can I be elite at my service?
I don't know if you've noticed, Andrew, but he can talk very well. He can communicate very
Most
well.
days.
Well, but you do really a good job with communication with people. And that to me is probably one of the worst things. That's one of the reasons that I quit calling several in the past, because they could not communicate very well. Communication so absolute, such a key to it. And you do a great job with that. So we're talking to Andrew Cole, Song Dog Wildlife, and we're going to come back with more stories. I want to know, well, I'll tell you when I come back. I got a question for you. Several, actually, because of rodents and what they do, how they do it. You wouldn't believe some of the damage they can do to your electrical systems. And we'll talk about that much more with Andrew Cole right here at Fox Sports Charlotte. Download the free app, stream us live. But right now, we're going to take a break. We'll be back on the other side with more wildlife.
Out more about the show? Go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. Hacksaw Helbig here with Crown Town Cannabis, Charlotte's original CBD and
Hemp Resource, where the staff can help you with any questions or concerns. All their products are third-party tested for purity and quality. Oils, edibles, Delta 9, topical creams, vapes, THC flower, and products that help the pets. Visit the new store at South End 115 Park Avenue and visit all the other stores which are open 7 days a week. Check out online to see which store is near you. That's CrowntownCannabis.com.
Go outside and take a look at your home. Are the gutters doing their job? The number one enemy to your home is water. Most homes are built with small, inadequate gutters and small downspouts. ABS Insulating has a division of the company that does nothing but gutter services. All gutter services: cleaning, maintaining, repair, new downspouts, replacement, and new gutters with many types available. They're a leader when it comes to gutter protection. Call ABS Insulating today, 704-821-4343 or absinsulating.com.
Hi, Roddy Player here with Queen City Audio, Video, and Appliances. Do you ever wonder how a local, family-owned business can compete with the big box national chain stores? It's simple. As part of North America's largest buying group, we have over $15 billion in buying power. We buy products at great prices from more manufacturers than any chain store, period, and we pass those savings on to you. So buy local and save more at Queen City, where you'll always find the right product, right price, and real answers guaranteed.
Let's face it, we do not like bugs and especially spiders and ants. Unwanted pests in the home are not only creepy, they can also spread sickness and cause significant damage to the structural integrity of our homes. Kilo Exterminating has been taking care of pest control problems in the Charlotte area for over 70 years with award-winning customer service. Moisture readings are standard with all crawl space inspection. Call Kilo Exterminating at the first sign of infestation, 704-333-9855, or online at kilo.biz. Again, that's 704-333-9855.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. I got Andrew Cole in the house, and you know, I got a call from a friend. Well, actually, one of my ex-wives for last month and a half, so back. She said, "I got an electrical problem." I said, "What is it?" She says, "Well, the funny thing is, it's just one bathroom. You know, the lights won't work now, and they just stopped."
Mm-hmm.
And she kept telling me about it. I said, "Well, it could be as simple as this or simple as that, because I've done so much electrical troubleshooting in my life. It's unreal." She called one electrician, failed, just said, "Ma'am, I can't help you. I don't know what's wrong." Come to find out, animal chewing a wire in the crawl space.
Mm-hmm.
And do you see much of that?
Oh, yeah. All the time, especially with squirrels. Like, they'll nest in an attic and be in the corner near a floodlight, so they'll chew up the Romex.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of Romex damage and cable damage in attic spaces from squirrels a lot, especially if they've been there for any length of time. It's mostly the young that are teething and chewing like any mammal, especially rodents as they're exercising their incisors. But if you get mice or rats that, get into a crawl space and they're trying to open up, a passageway into a wall void or into the living space, and there's a cluster of wires in the way.
They won't get rid of it.
They're going to try to open it up. And a lot of your coatings on wire and stuff and cable nowadays, and you see this with vehicles, you'll get like these car dealerships
Well, I
that
was
call
going
you.
to say, looking at these car shows, I'm not car shows, but the rehabs I see,
Yeah.
and these barn vehicles that were like in the barn for
Right.
40 years, 30 years. One of the largest problems they contend with
rodents
are rodents in the way they chew the wires.
Yeah, I've seen it at car dealerships with brand new vehicles, and sometimes it's just they're chewing because of the texture, or chewing to try to create a passageway into another space. And a lot of times too, nowadays you have soybean oil in a lot of your cable coatings and wire coatings, so they have an affinity for that anyways. They like the smell and taste of it, especially a lot of plastics. It's like, you ever see one of those plastic knobs on an aluminum fence just chewed to smithereens by squirrels? They love plastics. And also, rodents have to keep their teeth sharpened and filed down. So, they'll use, like, you'll see squirrels chew on gutters and chew on fencing and stuff. Mice do the same.
And you're scratching your head, saying, "What the heck are you chewing that
Like,
for?
why are you chewing up my fence?" Well, they're sharpening their teeth. They're filing back, because rodent incisors don't stop growing. They'll just continuously grow.
Right.
So to keep them filed back from growing through their face and head, they have to keep them filed back. But yeah, I'll see this with mice. We had a job over there off of Randolph Road a few weeks back. They heard their thermostat wasn't working. And then they heard like something in the wall. And I said, yeah, it's probably mice, first floor. And, she said, this is where I hear the sound. So, I was like, all right, you're sure it's this wall void right here? And so I got the stud finder out and then cut a clean square hole and opened up the first hole and was off by a wall void.
14 inches.
I said, all right, so
15, yeah.
do you think to the left or the right where you're hearing the noise? She goes, I think right. I said, okay. So we cut another hole and opened that thing up, and there was like, I don't know, 10 years worth of mice in there.
Really?
There was a fresh dead one from the noise, but
Right.
there was just a pile of carcasses in there. But the problem with the thermostat is that wall, it actually had insulation in it for an interior wall, which I thought was interesting, but and had the thermostat wiring and stuff in it. But the mice were using that wall void to go up and down as like a chase. And then they were because of the hole in the drywall for the wiring and stuff, the mice feel that airflow or see the light, and they chew, and then it chewed through the wiring and killed the thermostat.
Got it.
So yeah, wire chewing and damage. I always tell people, I said, did you have hamsters when you were younger? And they're like, some people say yeah, some people say no. But I said, when you have them in there and they're chewing up stuff and they're trampling the litter and they trample it and you have to replace it, it's full of droppings and urine. I said, animals will destroy a space. They'll trash it. Any living space that you've ever lived in, you clean up and maintain, right? So if you have an animal that lives in there continuously, they're going to chew, they're going to defecate, urinate, trample insulation, chew on things. And heck, I've even seen squirrels in attic spaces chew up load-bearing beams, like chew a big half moon out of a truss or a joist. Oh, yeah. And you're like, wow, look at that.
And another aspect, too, and I'm going to talk about this one because I've seen a lot of this firsthand, not like you, by no means. But when you're in crawl spaces, they will literally habitat inside ductwork.
Oh,
and they'll hide. They they just tear the ductwork all to heck, and you got a leak in it, but they're in that ductwork.
That from rats and mice to raccoons, like raccoons in an attic, or even possums in a crawl space. If they tear into the flex duct, well, now they got heat or air conditioning.
Yeah, they've got environmental control right there.
Or just out of curiosity, like, where does this lead to if I tear into here? And a lot of your flex duct has the insulative jacket on it, right?
Sure.
So they'll rob that insulation. Squirrels do it, rodents do it. Everything will rob that insulation to make nesting material, because not unlike batted insulation, it's like that. It's like a formable. It's an insulation that you can construct into
Sure.
a nest. So they love using, like if I go into an attic space and the first thing I see on the wall is the lower 2 feet of the bats torn off,
Yeah.
like shredded off, and it's down to the paper. I'm like, okay, you got squirrels, because they robbed all that insulation off the bottom of the bats to make a nest in the corner somewhere. And it's always the batted insulation. So same with flex duct and HVAC. They'll rob that insulation off of there, and then also it conditions their living space.
Yeah. That's why I tell people, you homeowners out there, to have if you have a crawl space, you need to have it inspected at least once a year, minimal, because these things happen over a season.
If you get
then
busy,
once they're in there, they have a house,
right?
yours.
Yeah,
And-
they'll turn your home into theirs.
Yep.
And if you're an empty nester, or you don't live upstairs, or you're constantly busy, your life is so hectic and busy, and you don't pay attention to those things, you'll turn around and what could have been a small, solvable, cost-effective problem turns into like, now we got electricians coming out. Now HVAC is coming out.
Exactly.
Now a roofer's coming out. And
Right.
the wildlife guys got to get the animals out before we can do any of this stuff. So it may have turned in from a small,
if you-
relatively affordable thing to like a big problem.
Exactly. And if you have mice, chances are you got big rat snakes and or black snakes and or king snakes. You're
Yeah,
going to have snakes.
I see
That's
that.
why you see them.
I see that a lot. Rat snakes can climb. So if they get up on a crepe myrtle and then get up onto the roof and then go into the soffit return, they're up there hunting mice. They're in there looking for shelter, a good place to shed a skin. Same with a crawl space. They'll get into a foundation vent that's loose or missing, or a hole or gap around a door. Get in there, and it's a great place to live. I get that call a lot. Like that's how the call is generated, is like, hey, my plumber, my HVAC guy was down there and he saw a big rat snake, and he's not going back in that space to work until it's
these
gone.
tradesmen, they get so afraid of these snakes.
Well, snakes and spiders, people hate them.
I know. I don't understand.
not a
They're
fan-
big,
I'm not a fan of the black widows and crawl spaces, but,
but
a snake,
they don't show up much. You
Yeah.
don't see a lot of black widows unless you're uncovering them.
yeah,
you
and their
know.
moisture, they like the moist, damp environments
Moist,
too.
dark environments.
Yeah.
They
I've been in
love
a
it.
few where you get in there and you're like, wow, right down all the way down the wall, you see one after another. Like,
Yep.
yikes. No.
But I don't pay them much attention anymore. I just look at them, let them go, because you can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
Not the spiders. Those spiders are creepy little rascals.
That's what I always tell my technicians, when you put a Tyvek suit and you put the hood on, just don't even look.
Don't
don't-
get them out of your mind. Yeah.
Don't look.
You got to go in there and psych yourself out.
Yeah.
You don't pay
Crawl and get to where you need to work, but don't look.
attention. The most gross thing I've ever seen is I saw a possum with these babies hanging off the teats.
Mm-hmm.
And this mama possum's walking across the sewer pipe. And carrying all those ugly little babies.
Yeah, little Joeys.
Yeah, little Joey. It was gross, and I just turned my head and kept on getting it.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna mess with them things, I didn't come under here to play possum today, And then big old black spiders, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the big long.
Those
with the
big
long,
old rascals that,
Yeah.
I'll see them on foundation pillars or something. I tell you what, you can have this place. I ain't gonna be here but 25, 30 minutes, and I'm out. It's
Yeah.
yours. But yeah, the crawl spaces, I think, attics you don't see as much as you see in crawl spaces. Although you do, because of the reasons you go out there is they're invading the attic space. I got a question for you online here.
All right.
As soon as I put on my glasses, one of my listeners, hey Ray, I was at the cabin last weekend while sitting on a bench on the front porch. A huge rat came walking right by me, close enough I could have kicked it. Never saw a rat that big. Any ideas of what type it was? I had squirrels removed from the attic years ago, and I had 3 entry-level places closed up. No issues since then. How big a rat? What they call them? Wharf rats?
Yeah, he said cabin. Says he's talking
River,
about
up in the mountains.
up in the mountains.
Yeah, I've been in the cabin.
Yeah, I mean,
Been
there's
up
different
there.
species of rats. There's wood rats, which I don't have a lot of experience with them in structures, and I know of them. But if he saw an actual wood rat,
On his deck. He's
on
got
his
this
deck.
nice deck.
Yeah, normally you're going to see them in woods and a woodland environment.
Well, he's in a woodland
so
environment.
that's possible that it's hard to
in
say.
The mountains, forest.
Naked tail on it. If it's an actual rat, I mean, very well could have been an eastern wood rat.
Yeah.
If he's in the middle of the woods and it's a brown rat, a Norway rat, our rats we see in Plaza Midwood, Noda, Myers Park, Central Avenue, I don't know. That would be an anomaly because normally, I mean, the two places I see rats are either out on the farm where they've hitched a ride in a seed pallet and they're out there living amongst the barns, or in the urban environments where they're running through sewer systems and stuff. So hard to say what he saw. Could have been a wood rat.
Probably was due to where he's at.
Right.
He's up in Lake Lure area.
Lake Lure.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have experience with rats there, but I don't think it was probably a Norway rat there, probably a wood rat.
How do you tell them apart?
Well, it's just the morphological characters, the colorings of them, the two rats that are structural issues are usually roof rats and Norway rats. And you can tell the difference apart because the coloration of the fur, the length of the tail, the snout.
Well, I know one time the rat I did, I went in and got him. He was dead, but they wouldn't go in this room. They being these two ladies that owned a decorating service and had furniture. They said, we can't go in that room. I says, why? They said, there's a rat in there. I says, well, how do you know? Because we saw him. That's a big old rascal.
Right. Obviously, with rats versus mice, it's going to be the size. If you see a juvenile or subadult rat, the smaller rat, because of their age and size, you may have some confusion there. But obviously, you can tell the difference between mice and rats based on their actual size.
Lord of mercy. We were sitting out at the warehouse one day, me and my friend, and we were sitting there, and I said, look at that squirrel. And she said, Ray, look again. That ain't no squirrel. Look at the tail. And I says, oh, dang, that's a big rat.
Mm-hmm.
And it was over there eating bird feed.
Oh, yeah.
And
we'll have, there's a species of rat called a hispid cotton rat. That was another one I was going to mention. They're usually not.
Hispid?
Yeah, hispid, Hispid, hispid cotton rat. And they're real common around Charlotte. They love like overgrown fields and meadows. They like those types of environments. People will get them at their bird feeders. If their bird feeder butts up to like a grassy area, whether it's an ornamental planting or just an old fallow field, you'll see cotton rats come out of. Matter of fact, my son and his friend, they would see him in this overgrown field in the lot next to my house. And they would run over there and borrow some traps and go catch them. And they'd bring all these cotton rats to the house, and they're bouncing around in there. And they're not as big as a brown rat, a Norway rat, but they're bigger rodents.
The river goes and catch rats.
Oh, they do all kinds of stuff. They go out and they're hunting squirrels with pellet guns and going after rabbits and catching cotton rats. They're outdoorsmen. I created a bunch of little hunters.
That's awesome.
That's how you break into hunting is you start with the small game.
Yeah.
I just say, just don't, don't shoot anything you're not supposed to shoot.
Right. Well, yeah. Being a wildlife professional, you would do that. No doubt. But speaking of hunting, you've been you go hunting, right?
Oh yeah. Hunting season starts for me. Well, I have a place in South Carolina I go. There's their velvet bow hunting season started in August.
I thought you were a bow hunter.
Oh, that's primarily what I do is I bow hunt. I love to bow hunt. I've been bow hunting since I was 14.
That's awesome.
But my big trip coming up.
River like to bow hunt?
He's
a shooter.
He likes gun hunting.
He likes shooting. Yeah.
Yeah. He likes to shoot. And outside, he loves
bow
fishing.
hunting is very specialized and very, very unique.
Oh yeah. I love it. It's a great recreation. It's my primary passion is bow hunting.
River bagged his first deer too, didn't he?
He's shot 2 deer, and his first 2 deer have been nice bucks. The spoiled joker. He's got a golden horseshoe up his rear because I took him on a gun hunt,
right?
And it was like one of his first hunts of the year, the first buck he killed, and this buck comes out. At very last light, I called him out of this thicket, and it took him 3 shots. He missed the first 2, got him on the 3rd shot. Okay. almost a year later, exactly to the day almost, I take him out there. I call another buck who's during the rut, and this time I have a deer decoy in the field. I call this buck out of the thicket, and River was asleep. So I'm like, wake up, wake up. And he wakes up and he's like, huh? I said, there's a buck standing in the field right there. Get your gun up. So I help him get his gun
Right.
up. First shot.
What's he shoot?
Pow! He shoots a 350 Legend. It's a
Gotcha.
nice youth gun.
Okay.
Pow! First shot. Again, he misses. I help him jack another shell in. Bow! He misses the second shot. I was like, you're shooting over him. I said, hold lower. And bow! Third shot drops him. So 2 bucks, back-to-back years, 3 shots, gets him on the third shot. That never happens. I said, don't expect every deer hunt to go like this, son.
Right.
And don't expect every deer you shoot moving forward to be nice racked bucks. I said,
Do you take them and dress them yourself?
yeah, you
So
know,
you teach a River to dress.
yep, it's an anatomy lesson. That's why he's
Oh,
got
I
an,
know.
that's why he's got an A in science. He's got a C in math. He needs to bring that up.
application. This exemplifies put tools in school.
Yeah.
What you've done with River and other kids in the neighborhood exemplifies of what a male role model mentor means to these kids.
Right.
Because these kids are learning things they would never learn. Matter of fact, if deer meat is probably one of the healthiest meats you can get, bar none.
Right.
As far as ease and
Good lean red meat.
availability, because they're everywhere. Now you can't just pull out your gun in the middle of plantation,
Providence Plantation.
Providence Plantation, where there's a lot of deer.
There's a ton of deer in Providence.
Providence Plantation's a deer village.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, to me, I don't think there's probably any other.
I would love to go deer hunting in Providence.
I mean, just walk out in the backyard. They're there. There's one.
Yeah.
But anyway, but you can't just shoot them openly, okay? But you talking about some good, healthy, nutritious, good meat. Deer meat's the way to go. And I bet your freezer's full.
Oh, it is. It is. We eat plenty of pork and beef and chicken. My kids love chicken. But yeah, we mix in deer meat from time to time, and we spread it out through a year where it lasts. And as it starts to get low, the next hunting season comes around. My favorite, though, is elk meat. That's my big trip. On the 11th of next month, I leave. And
you go bow hunt?
I'm going back. This is my 4th
How
year
many
in a
you
row.
back now, but with a bow?
With a bow, I've shot one good bull and missed twice. My buddy shot one and missed one, and I've shot one and missed 2. And it's difficult because the way that we hunt is we'll go backpack hunting. So we'll go out to federally publicly owned land. So it's DIY. We'll drive. I'll fly out to Colorado, and then my buddy picks me up who lives out there in Colorado, just outside of Denver and Elizabeth. And then we drive 5 hours out west and go hunt out there near Meeker. And we'll drive into the public lands.
You take a rifle too?
No, it's all bow hunting.
All bow.
So we park the truck at the trailhead. We grab our packs that weigh between 50 and 60 pounds, have 10 days worth of food, water, filtration, a sleep system, strap the bow to the pack. We put the pack on and we hike in.
What time of the year?
In September.
I got you. Fall.
This year we're going the 11th through the 22nd. I'll be out there.
Gotcha.
And
right around the corner.
Yeah, it's
a couple weeks away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's a true adventure. You go into the wilderness and you live out there. Yeah.
10 days in the woods.
Mm-hmm. Filter your own water.
Very few people can do that, relatively speaking.
It's tough. Yeah. There's this one mountain that we have to climb right out the gate from the truck. And my buddy and I jokingly call it Suck Mountain because it's
Suck Mountain.
There's nothing pleasurable about that experience. You make it like,
but you do it
20 to 50 yards at a time.
Fly out there to do it. And ride 5 hours into the woods to do it.
Yeah,
you crazy man.
From the truck to the door of the area that we hunt is 6 miles.
Wow, that's amazing.
The year I shot my bull, it took us 2.5 days to get him out, cut him up, skin him, cut him up, and take him out in quarters from where I shot him to the truck. And it took us 2.5 days. By the end of that trip, between the hiking, the hunting, and then getting my bull out, we went 109 miles in 10 days.
Wow.
And I dropped like 15 pounds.
There you go.
And was eating like 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day.
I hear you.
and still drop weight.
That's because you're active. All right, we're going to take a break here. 704-227-8986. I got Andrew Cole in studio with me today. Great information, a plethora of information, actually. Come on back. We hadn't talked about coyotes, wolves, deer. Hey, what the heck? We don't know what all's around. Let's talk to Andrew and find out. Come back. More about wildlife with Andrew Cole right here on Fox Sports Charlotte, About Your House. We'll be back.
About the show, go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Steve Helms here with the Al Metal Driving Corporation. The Al Metal Driving Corporation is a full-service driving company. Regardless of the problem, we can handle it. Does your clothes dryer take longer than 45 to 50 minutes to dry a load? If so, you need your dryer vent cleaned or checked. The clothes dryer is the most inefficient appliance in the house and should never take longer than 45 to 50 minutes. Call Al Metal Dryer Vent today at 704-846-8368 or online at almetaldryervent.com. That's 704-846-VENT. Have you cleaned your dryer vent lately?
Owens Chimney Systems is known for all professional chimney services since 1989, including chimney cleaning, recommended annually, chimney evaluations and inspections, any and all chimney repairs and restorations, gas fireplace and gas fire log service, furnace cleaning, cleaning out one of the most overlooked appliances in the home. Get it done right the first time. That's Owens Chimney Systems at 704-554-9595. Or you can visit us online at owenschimneysystems.com.
Carolina Foundation Solutions is a family-owned and operated company and a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina, providing foundation solutions from the mountains to the sandy shores of the coast. At Carolina Foundation Solutions, our objective is to help educate, offer guidance, and provide assistance. With over 200 years of combined experience, our family of experts are ready to help protect and repair your largest investments. If you have a problem, we have a solution. Call 877-883-4626 or online, carolinafoundationsolutions.com.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All righty, welcome back. About Your House, talking to Andrew Cole about wildlife, animals, critters, rodents, you name it. I believe you've done it, haven't you? What's the biggest animal you ever dealt with?
Nowadays we get the occasional deer call where deer are stuck to a aluminum fence or dead in a pond or something. We'll get calls from HOAs or communities that need to have dead deer removal. But we've had a couple of jobs over the years where
you go remove dead deer.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. Most big game issues are handled by the Wildlife Resources Commission. If it qualifies as a game animal status, but like as far as body weights, and I recall, I'll never forget when I first started my business and got my insurance, they were like, are you going to be dealing with alligators? Because if so, your premiums are going to go up. But I know there's some guys down in South Carolina that wrangle with alligators and HOA ponds and stuff. I haven't done anything like that. It'd be cool to handle a job like that. But as far as body weight size deer, the occasional deer call.
We were talking about dressing deer, and you went out to Colorado and you had to dress it and get it out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Does it go bad? How do you prevent it from going bad?
No, what we do is immediately after you recover your animal, we'll do the gutless method where we'll skin one side of the animal, because we're talking like a 600 to 800 pound animal.
I know, that's why I was curious.
So we'll skin take the skin off one side, and then we'll start quartering out the meat, the back straps, the shoulders, the hams, the rib roll, the neck roast. We'll get all that meat out, and we start putting it into what's called a game bag, which is a breathable bag that allows air to circulate and keep the meat cool. And so when we get the animal cut up and then hiked back to camp, we'll hang the meat in game bags to prevent flies and yellow jackets from getting to it. And then we'll leave it in a cool shaded spot. And when we're out there hunting, it'll get down into the 40s at night, sometimes in the 30s.
Weather makes a big impact.
If you keep your meat in the shade and hung where the air can circulate around it, and it'll get a cast around it, kind of the meat will harden. It'll harden. The interior of it will be good. But yes, the clock is ticking, because once you get the animal cut up and you get it staged at camp, now you start making trips back to the truck to where we put it in a cooler on ice. Then once we get the whole animal to the truck, we then take it to a processor to have it cut up and packaged. And then the processor we use, he has an in-house refrigerated truck, and he'll make trips around the country to hunters that came out there to hunt mule deer and elk and such. And they'll just make a big loop and drop your meat off for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
cool.
That's the way I typically do it. Unless you drive out there and you carry a big cooler with you and you take your meat home and you process it yourself.
And you do that sometimes too.
With deer, with deer here. And the one year I did drove out there alone. I won't do that again. It was a long drive from Mint Hill to Western Colorado.
That's a big drive. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and that drive across Kansas and going back east with the sun coming up in your face on I-70, and that state never seems to end. I don't think I'll ever be doing that again. But that year I went out with a big cooler, had a couple coolers to fit an animal into it. But that year we didn't get one. That was a year I missed. We called a real nice bull in. He'd come up the mountain. We'd called him in the first time in the morning. I was doing the calling sequence, and my buddy was like 50 yards ahead of me in a head of brush. And this bull was down in an aspen bowl, and we were trying to call him away from his cows. And like a bull will normally do, is in the calling sequence, the wind was blowing in our face, but he circled around and came in downwind. And I saw movement out of the corner of my eye, and I look over, and there he is standing at 50 yards. And when I saw him, he saw me, and then he pivoted his head and saw my hunting partner, and then he spun and ran, went back down into the aspen bowl. So we circled way down to the bottom of the mountain, and we came in from below and snuck up into into the aspens with him. And we started another calling sequence, and that was my turn, because my buddy will go turn for hunting opportunity. And we went in there and did a calling sequence like another bull was sneaking in on his cows, and he ripped a bugle from his bed And then we hit him with a challenge bugle. The next thing you know, he was half the distance, ripped a really mad, mean challenge bugle at us.
Now, what you say bugle? What are you talking about?
Elk will bugle. Bull elk will bugle. They have a variety of different, bugles they will use to round up cows, to fend off other bulls, to announce their presence. There's roundup bugle. So in the elk world, in their biology, in the breeding season, they'll have a harem of cows, and your big dominant bull called the herd bull will put together a harem of his cows that he plans on keeping, protecting, and breeding. And so he's trying to protect his group of honeys from all the other bulls that want to try to steal them from him. So he'll use different types of bugles, like a challenge bugles. If he feels like another bull is trying to move in on his harem, he'll rip this just guttural, mean, just screaming bugle that you need to stay away. And if you don't stay away, you're going to catch a tine in you. I'll ram this heavy rack right into your side and kill you if you don't back off. That's why you see so many, like if you see videos of elk, like in Yellowstone or in Estes Park, Colorado, and they're, they can be very dangerous in the rut.
Yeah, we saw a lot up in Oregon. Down, and they would even give you cautions, elk, and then we went looking for them.
If you're in Estes Park in September in Colorado, and all those elk are down in and amongst town, literally walking down the sidewalks, and these bulls are rutting and chasing and wallowing and fighting with each other and fending off their bulls from their harem. It can be they can hurt you, they can kill you. So, they'll have a variety of different bugles they use, and the cows will mew and call, and they'll have different vocalizations, estrus, mews, and stuff that they use to talk to each other, because they're a mountain animal. They have to talk over huge, expansive areas.
Yeah. See, I told you he was a good communicator. So not only can he talk to humans, can you give me a sound? Come on, give me something.
I can't do an elk bugle, but like a cow call would be like a meh. It's like meh, meh, like that. And so if you use those types of vocalizations to talk to try to, so in that situation when we were hunting, we simulated being another bull moving in on his herd, and that really ticked him off. And he came screaming down the mountain and running. I'll never forget it. When he bugled in his bed. Then he ripped a challenge bugle at us. Then we cut him off with a bugle, and he was like, he wasn't having that. And so
you're talking to the deer.
So I heard that next.
You got me to the elk.
So I heard him do that challenge bugle, and then when we cut him off with a bugle, the next thing I heard was a loud branch break, like crash. I heard this big branch break, and the next thing you know, I see him. Here he comes running, and this animal's like the size, damn near the size of a horse with antlers, and it's running in to fend off this bull that he seems to think is, in his area.
And y'all are the bull.
We're the bull.
Y'all faking it.
Yeah. And he comes running in. He stopped at 40 yards, and there was a deadfall covering up part of his vitals. And the wind was, if he had gone another 10 yards, he'd have got my wind. So I draw back, and I had to put the pin on him mid-lung. And when I released that arrow, it went off, and he heard that bow, and he'd already, we'd already tried to get him in the morning. So he kind of dropped and whirled, and I clipped the top of him. It wasn't a wounding or mortally wounding shot, just clipped him, and he took off running. And I was like, well, there goes my opportunity. That's bow hunting.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. There it is.
And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, disappointment.
You've hiked all this way, and you spent all this money, and you've done all this stuff, and that was the moment of truth. And you either,
you make it or you don't.
Aim small, miss small, but that's hunting, it's not guaranteed. But
the experience of what your story just saying,
yeah,
to be in the woods out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
If
you want to put perspective on life,
and you didn't even have a cell phone that usage because there was no signal. Probably.
If you go way up on top of the mountains, you can get a signal in the area we go. But for the most part, we're hiking around in airplane mode,
right?
Because there's nothing out there.
Gotcha.
From where we leave the pavement back to where the trailhead is a 2-hour drive on dirt roads, and then where we go back in to hike back in, there's nothing back there but bear and elk, deer, free range cattle, lots of different species of birds, all kinds of different animals.
Did you take your food? Did you eat any kill?
Yeah, we'll shoot grouse and cook them.
Okay.
If we kill a bull, we'll cook the tenderloin. And it's not just bulls we're after. We have cow tags too. So if we get a good opportunity at a cow, we have one tag. We'll take a cow. But if we're back there, we'll take some of the back strap or the tenderloin.
And when he says cow, he's talking about female, right?
Yeah, the female elk are called cows.
Right.
And
but some people think you're going out and killing moo cows. We just want to keep you straight here, keep it.
Now the joke is when we're walking out, we have the walk of shame. If we're coming out of the back country and we haven't killed anything and there's free range cattle,
right?
Sometimes hey, I wonder what the rancher will let us take one. We're coming away with meat from this hunt.
All right, hour number 3 coming up. Going to take a top of the hour break here. You're listening to About Your House. Andrew Cole, Song Dog Wildlife. Let's talk about wildlife out in your backyard. What should you expect to see these days around Charlotte as urban sprawl continues at an unbelievable rate of development and animal moving? We'll be back. More About Your House.
Grab another cup of coffee and join us for Hour 3's Andrew Cole from Song Dog Wildlife continues the conversation with Ray talking the industry's hobbies and much, much more. About Your House is brought to you in part by PutToolsInSchools.org, connecting students to tools of the trades and raising awareness of the many career pathways. Also, brought to you by Carolina Foundation Solutions, a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina. From the hills to the coast, if you have a problem, they have a solution. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some time with us. We'll share our knowledge and provide encouragement to improve not just your home, but every aspect of life. And now, here's your host, Ray Terry.
All right, welcome back. Hour number 3. Andrew Cole's in the house talking wildlife. Charlotte. There's a lot of movement in Charlotte with animals, right? I mean, you get people call you and ask you about. Well, one thing, coyotes. Where are they at on the spectrum now?
Oh yeah, coyotes are here to stay. They're part of our landscape. There used to be a thing maybe 10 years ago where you'd see one occasionally. Now they're all over. I mean, there isn't a day that goes by where I don't look at my email and see a post on Nextdoor that says, hey, there's a coyote in our neighborhood. Everybody, FYI, there was a coyote here after cats or got my dog or whatever. I saw one. So they're everywhere. I mean, we do work for different people, but one of my bigger clients is actually a collection of people in South Charlotte. They formed a coalition that's like a cost share program. And so they all go to various properties, write permits, get permission, and try to manage the coyote numbers in South Charlotte in their neighborhoods. And it's, in and around Foxcroft mainly. And in the last 3 years,
last time you were here, Foxcroft's a big coyote pocket.
Oh yeah. All the green spaces and the creek corridors, through there that, the coyotes focus on on those
Right.
creek corridors because of all the food and water and all the denning opportunities there. But those neighborhoods are full of, all kinds of small game for them to eat, as well as people's pets, trash, roadkill, because no better place produces roadkill than their metro areas that constantly run over animals. And so they have plenty of scavenging opportunities on roadkill, trash, but they're in there. The coyotes, which, spurred the whole reason for them hiring me, is they were coming in people's yards and taking people's dogs.
Right.
And, in Foxcroft in the last 3 years where we've been doing work, we're over 35 coyotes in 3 years.
Wow.
But
35.
We've done, odds and ends jobs in and around South Charlotte, and that's primarily. And I was doing work for the city of TGK for a while. I haven't in a few years, and I think they stopped calling me to catch their coyotes because their deer numbers blew up after I'm catching coyotes, and so the deer numbers went up because they're no longer controlling the deer by eating fawns and sick and wounded deer. And so their deer numbers blew up, and they had to hire somebody to come do a deer reduction, a sniping team. And I think they put the kibosh on that whenever there was public upheaval about it.
Right.
But yeah, we do a fair amount of coyote work, and I do far more education and talking people off the ledge. When it comes to just because you saw one doesn't mean it's an issue. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere in Charlotte. And
let's take a break a minute. All right, I'm gonna go to we just had a guest come in the studio here, and it was like pulling our teeth to get him here. It's been years I've worked there, but he's been a little bit shy, microphone shy, and it's one of the managers. Actually, he's part of the family around Crown Town Cannabis. And Crown Town Cannabis came on the scene in 2018. Were you out of the gate?
I was one of the originals.
This is John DeLand. Talk a little closer to the mic. And John DeLand, he was store. Well, I'm gonna just call him store manager because he'd go to any store and manage any store.
I've worked in all the stores.
That's my point.
Yes. Yeah.
He is the father-in-law of Michael Sims.
Correct.
And grandfather to Michael Sims' kids. So John's part of the family, but also a very knowledgeable representation of what Crown Town Cannabis is all about. Now tell them about the new South End store.
It is our newest location. It's 115 Park Avenue. We've been open 3 months now. It's our fourth store. We're in Plaza Midwood. We're in Noda. We're in Concord, and
Grover too.
That's our newest.
Grover, North Carolina,
yeah,
wherever
that's
the
our
heck
first
that
true
is.
franchise store.
Oh, is that what that
Yes,
is?
like
Okay.
85, just before you cross into South Carolina.
Okay.
And that's actually our first true franchise.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell somebody. I mean, talk just a minute. We got you. You got about roughly 8 or 9 minutes here.
Okay.
Tell me a healing story.
Well, a lot of veterans. We get a lot of veterans come in that got a lot of stress, anxiety, and the list of medications that they talk about is frightening that they're on, and get a lot of good relief with natural products. gets off a lot of medication. There's a good one. Another one that like special needs kids use our
autistic or
the
whatever.
CBD oils. Tremendous results, much better than them being basically drugged up with medicine. Much more natural.
Pharmaceuticals, yeah.
And gets
Well, I know he's on the front line. John, like I said, has been a store manager since the stores opened in 2018. A lot of people are very apprehensive, actually scared, fearful of CBD and cannabis products, when actuality is they're safe if you know what you're dealing with. And one of the things about Crown Town, all products are third-party tested for purity and quality, and
correct.
everything's
Very important, because a lot of stuff on the streets is really bad. Everything is safe, clean, tested. The store's clean, cash or credit, any type of payment. It's just a lot of bad information about cannabis out there, and it's really got a lot of health benefits.
All my pet supplements have CBD in it, and even some of the joint medicine that I have has CBD in it.
I take CBD oil religiously, as John knows.
Have you seen that video of the guy that has Parkinson's? It's kind of an older video. He's got Parkinson's, got real bad tremors. He smokes a joint, and his tremors went away completely. Did you see that? Have you seen that?
I've literally seen it firsthand. It works. Another one that's really gets tremendous results is migraines with some smokable flower, because you need to feel the effects immediately to calm the migraine. And we get several regulars that's how they solve it now.
Yeah, and it's all natural.
I've got a buddy that I went to college with that gets chronic migraines. I don't know, triggered by different things. I think sugar is one of the things that triggers.
Well,
it.
diet will
But,
trigger
he gets
migraines in a
chronic
lot of
migraines.
people. Yeah.
But it's funny with you being here talking about animals. We sell so much pet supplies. It
Yep.
does great
My
things
dog
for
is
pets.
she's 14 and a half.
Yeah.
She's got bad hips. She's mostly chocolate lab, but she's got shepherd hips. She's a
Okay.
mutt.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
She's got shepherd in her.
notorious for that.
Yeah. And whenever I run out of her meds, you can see she struggles to even get out of bed.
Yeah,
And-
because
but-
I have basically edibles, treats for dogs, or oils.
and when I give her that stuff, she's sprightly. She moves around a whole lot better.
No,
It I can attest to it. It works.
because everybody loves their pets, and that's some of our best referrals, if you will, because everyone wants to talk about their pet, what it does for them.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we hear it all the time, like 4th of July sales spike going into that.
Oh yeah, that's
for the fireworks.
For
Yeah.
all the fireworks. That lasts for a week here now. So
my dog's the same way.
Right,
Fireworks,
either-
thunderstorms. You give her
but
the hint
a,
meds.
a car ride, or you're going to the vet, or just something to help calm them down. It
Mhm.
really does work.
Oh, it works.
I have cats. I give the oil to my cats. So
It worked.
it works. Yeah, they're 14 and 15, and they still run around the house like they're crazy.
Well, I'll tell you something. For me, 73, and my arthritis ran in our family. Especially my father's wrist. I'll never forget my father always complaining when it would eat dinner and he'd reach across the table to pick up something. It's grimace, I said, "What's wrong, Dad?" He said, my wrist. After a while, we just knew what it was.
Mhm.
But now I tend to hurt too if I don't take my CBD oil,
Mhm.
my tincture under my tongue. But if my ankles and my wrist will hurt or be achy, but if I stay on my regimen of CBD oil, no problem at all. Like right now, I have none. And my right hand thumb joint, of course, I've moved my hands my whole life, building and doing construction, but it works.
No, the oils work great. I'm 5 years into taking them every day. The best way to find out, stop taking it for a couple of days,
Yeah,
and you'll really feel all the things it really does help you with.
right.
There's no real sensation taking it, but
We're not talking about a high
It's
or
not
any of
before
that,
that.
people, folks. We're not talking about that.
about feeling better.
It's
getting
about
good sleep.
all people have an endocannabinoid system, all mammals. Okay, mammals have an endocannabinoid system that we're literally not even known about until the late 90s. Because everything we're talking about, the beneficial part of a natural grown, God-given plant, Now you know why they outlawed it in 1937, because it's free and you can grow it yourself. And the medical benefits are phenomenal, but they don't want you to hear that. Matter of fact, they don't even want me to do this commercial or this broadcast of information. Why? I don't know, because you can go to the store right down in the corner and get plastered off alcohol. Which is
be given way too many prescriptions.
Yeah, or be given a pharmaceutical drug and be delirious or crazy as heck, but that's okay.
Side effects include.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, they come with a page of them. That's the thing with my products. The side effects, there just aren't. You don't become addicted to it. It's not like you need more and more. If anything, you would use less once you kind of get your body straightened out with it.
And there's several listeners to this show that don't like the fact that we even talk about it because they're against it. Why?
It's probably old school mentality.
Why?
Or some of the
beneficial.
hardcore, stuff that is out there.
Oh,
just the word cannabis is scary. I mean, from our social media to our newest branding to make the word dispensary instead of cannabis there's still some people that just don't know what's going on with it.
Right.
See, we have to keep changing to meld into the society in which we've created.
Yes.
And that's exactly what we're doing. We have been. We'll continue to do so because we have to coexist with the rules and the status quo.
Yeah, just the stigma. I mean, even like our social media is virtually attacked all the time. Posts are taken down and for no apparent reason. I mean, there's no real set of rules. They just take something down and
censorship's at an all-time high, to put it bluntly. I have never lived in a time where censorship has been more prevalent, and it's getting worse. And Dr. Cammie Benton, MD, she'll be on the show here October 12th talking about this and many other natural healing aids. And she has been taken down, ridiculed, just smeared for telling the truth.
Well, I saw an article the other day that said during COVID, especially in 2021, the Biden administration wanted Meta, Facebook to anything that was like what they could perceive as misinformation. They were like, censor it, take it down.
Folks, the bottom line is our media has been weaponized, but that's all I'll say about that. I want to thank John for coming in today because I got a minute left. Thank you for coming in.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Ray. You were the first one that let us get on the air and talk about our stuff for years, and we've appreciated it all along.
Well, thank you. The only reason I do it is not to really because of what y'all do, it's why you do it and what the results are to humanity and the benefits to health and wellness. And that's a fact.
Yeah, there's so many people that their lives are better for shopping in our store.
Right.
If you just spend one day, even a few hours in my store and don't really listen to me, what the customers have to say, their opinion be changed forever.
And I've done that many days. I'll go early on. I would go to the stores and just hang out and question people at the counter. Would you mind me asking you a few questions? Mm-hmm. And some of them were reluctant, and I understand that. But some of them were very open and honest. And some vets, the stories you hear out of vets, blow your mind. Blow your mind. One guy changed his life forever after some 30 years after Vietnam, he finally got some results, or 40 years or 50 or whatever it was. But amazing stories. So thank you, John.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for the support.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming in. Did you cut your spots?
I did.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good to go.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You did it.
I feel better. See, I got my first one over.
We love you for it, brother. Thank you. All right, John's out of here. We're going to take a break here, folks. Come back to Andrew Cole. Let's do some wildlife stories and about the wildlife. Show him how to get out of here. And then,
we're going to take a picture.
We're going to take a picture. All right, we got to take a break, take a picture, and all that kind of groovy stuff. So we'll be back with more about your house.
Need help with a project? Go to AboutYourHouseRadio.com to find a list of professional service providers in the About Your House Radio family.
Hi, Roddy Player here with Queen City Audio, Video, and Appliances. Do you ever wonder how a local, family-owned business can compete with the big box national chain stores? It's simple. As part of North America's largest buying group, we have over $15 billion in buying power. We buy products at great prices from more manufacturers than any chain store, period, and we pass those savings on to you. So buy local and save more at Queen City, where you'll always find the right product, right price, and real answers guaranteed.
Let's face it, we do not like bugs and especially spiders and ants. Unwanted pests in the home are not only creepy, they can also spread sickness and cause significant damage to the structural integrity of our homes. Kilo Exterminating has been taking care of pest control problems in the Charlotte area for over 70 years with award-winning customer service. Moisture readings are standard with all crawl space inspection. Call Kilo Exterminating at the first sign of infestation, 704-333-9855, or online at kilo.biz. Again, that's 704-333-9855.
Carolina Foundation Solutions is a family-owned and operated company and a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina, providing foundation solutions from the mountains to the sandy shores of the coast. At Carolina Foundation Solutions, our objective is to help educate, offer guidance, and provide assistance. With over 200 years of combined experience, our family of experts are ready to help protect and repair your largest investments. If you have a problem, we have a solution. Call 877-883-4626 or online, carolinafoundationsolutions.com.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
Tulsa time. Yeah. Don Williams. All right. Welcome back to About Your House. Got Andrew Cole in the house talking wildlife, critters, all that kind of stuff. You know, we coexist. Wildlife's here, regardless of whether we're here or not. They're going to coexist with us. And the whole purpose of me getting Andrew in here and Steve Hughes sometimes is we talk about, you know, wildlife, and be it birds, be it our pets of wildlife, which are birds, and some people have pet raccoons. They feed them, and you know I even had a pet squirrel. Okay, when I say pet, he was just a resident. He lived in and around the neighborhood, and he would come. He would literally sit there and look at the window, and my wife would make him a peanut butter toast and take out there and give him. I mean, you feed a squirrel like that, and they're going to come back. They're why not? I mean, this person's feeding me.
Well, that's part of the problem too, though.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, when people condition animals, it's like I had a job where a coyote he was not afraid of people. He'd come up and approach people, and that's because the person down at the end of the block, at the end of the cul-de-sac, was feeding it junk deli meat and taking pictures of it, getting some great digital SLR photos of it. But that person had then conditioned and created an animal that was not afraid of people, which then, you know, poses a bite risk.
Right.
And then, you know, I see this with raccoons a lot. I see a lot of people with pet like videos and reels and shorts.
They're so cute.
Of like people with pet raccoons. In the state of North Carolina, you cannot own any or possess any wildlife unless you're a rehabber. Even then, like any of your rabies vector species, you can't possess them or have them. But you'll see a lot of people like, hey, I want a pet raccoon. I want a pet raccoon. It's like,
No, you don't.
no, you,
No, you don't.
you know,
You just think you do. And
yeah.
sure, you probably now want a pet squirrel, and they exist.
Yeah, and then the places where and I've run across many of folks that have break those laws and have pet raccoons and squirrels and stuff, pet deer, but it's technically illegal, and for a good reason because those animals could pose a bite risk, or if you have there's a whole list of different zoonotic diseases from their droppings that have Ascarid roundworm to them being the number one vector of rabies, parvo, distemper. Those are things. If somebody gets bit by a raccoon, well, you're going to be taking a trip to the ER to get shots, post-treatment rabies vaccination shots, and those shots probably won't be covered by your insurance, and they're going to cost a lot. So, and then there's a variety of things and reasons. And then if you have a male raccoon, a boar raccoon, and he becomes aggressive and, could bite a family member. So I always advise against it, but I see a lot of misinformation and stuff. They're like, oh, I want to have a pet raccoon and all this stuff. No. They're not a domesticated animal. They're a wild animal.
To that point, too, you don't want to leave your cat. I mean, you can do what you want. It's your house, your yard.
Right.
But you only create things when you leave animal food like dog food out on your patio or any kind of feed or food. If you leave it outside.
Somebody may call and say, oh, I beg to differ. I've had a raccoon for 10 years. He's the sweetest, most loving thing. And I'm sure there's many cases like that, but that gives the idea of somebody like, oh, I have raccoons in my yard in Matthews. Maybe I can get a pup. Maybe I could get one from a sow, or I saw one by itself on my porch. It got left behind, knocked out of a tree in a storm. I'm going to take it in and nurse it and make it a pet. Not only is that illegal, but it's also just you're setting yourself up for a disaster if you get bit, or if like, oh, I'm going to go get this little pup and pick it up off the porch. And then but you didn't see the sow off to the side, behind the grill, and she comes running out and grabs a hold of your shin or your ankle, and now you have to go to get your shots that are going to be a serious.
And they hurt, by the way. Those are not pleasant. That is not a pleasant experience getting rabies shots. I'm sure you've heard stories about all that. If you haven't, they're pretty painful.
Your pre-treatments, they're all like, in the arm, in your muscle masses and stuff. But post-treatments, it can be quite painful. And if you procrastinate, when did you get bit? Well, a couple of weeks ago, I didn't think anything. I was just a little flesh wound. Once the rhabdovirus gets to a certain point, it comes in phases. You have they really technically call it the dumb phase and the furious phase. Once you get close to the furious phase, and your brain swells, it's over, Johnny. You're dead. You're not coming back from it. So if you see a short or a reel on Facebook or something and, oh, I want a pet raccoon, no bueno. And that gives this idea that all raccoons are created equal and you can just make them a pet. Then you end up with a bite. You don't know whether that animal has rabies or not, but they are the number one vector, So
what raccoons are?
Mm-hmm. I think the list is top 3 is raccoons, fox, and then skunks. And even bats, people end up with bats in their living space, even though it's less than 2%, they are a carrier of rabies as well.
Well, let's talk about bats a minute. We hadn't hit that one because you deal with a lot of bats.
Yep, we're certified in structural bat management through NACOA. I've done bat work my entire wildlife control career. We do a lot of bat work in Charlotte. I've done bat work for churches and commercial buildings and residential structures, and that's primarily what it is residential structures. And we've done a fair amount this season. Every year we do it. We'll get the calls. They start filtering in when the 50-degree and warmer nights show up in March, and the bats return. They come out of hibernation, or they migrate back into areas for their warm season haunts. And then we'll do bat work up to May 1st. And then from May 1st to August 1st, there's a moratorium period where you can't do bat work because they are a protected species.
Now explain that to people and when he says they're protected,
mm-hmm.
they're an animal and they are a mammal that are protected, meaning you can't kill them.
Yeah, they serve a very important ecological role in
like
pest management.
bees. A
Right.
lot like bees. Bats have a purpose on this planet, and
Right.
they serve it well.
When somebody calls in June, when most of the young show up and the colonies are really large and they're really staining up the side of the house with guano and urine, people are icked out by it. They want it gone. They can't believe that the bats have more rights than they do in their house, and they don't like hearing that. But the best approach is to, because they're a protected status, we have to go in accordance to the rules and laws and regulations, make people wait. We put together a list. We'll still do inspections. We'll still do preliminary seal ups, but we don't do any evictions until August 1st. And when August 1st rolls around,
So all year long, you can't do anything until August 1st hits.
no, it's May 1st to August 1st is the
Okay.
only period where you cannot do
You
bat
can't do
evictions.
anything from May 1st of May to
and then
August. Okay.
and then I stopped doing bat work, not because of law, but I stopped doing bat work after getting close to the first frost, because what happens is bats go into a state of torpor in preparation for hibernation. So meaning if you have bats in the attic and you're doing bat evictions in the wintertime, if you seal up a house and put bat cones, valves that allow them to exit but not regain entry, if you put those valves on and then you take them off, but the bats never came out because they're hibernating, you've then sealed them in. So that means they could spread through an attic and all die, or worst case scenario, end up in the living space because they can't get out now.
Right.
And then if you end up with a bat in the living space, there's a whole process and rigmarole of trying to see if the bat needs to be tested. It's a rabies vector species, and so was anybody exposed? And then if you actually capture the bat or all the bats, you can send them off for testing, and so it becomes kind of a big dilemma. So,
But you want to be careful. True story. I got a call one day. I had a fixer-upper out in Lock Haven, out in Waxhaw, Weddington actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a call from my wife one day. Ray, we got a problem. What is it? There's a bat in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I says, really? Where's it at? Well, right now it's hanging down from one of the beams in the living room. I says, okay, I'll be there in a little bit. So I go home and she said, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I says, well, I don't know yet. I got to come home and check it out. Well, he was hanging. So I got a cardboard box, put up under him, scooted him in it. He dropped. I folded it up, went outside, opened the box, and the bat flew away.
Mm-hmm.
That was easy. But if I would have made a phone call, not good, because then we rattle the cage, right? Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
Depending on who you talk to.
Well, the CDC's guidelines are like if somebody is, if you have an elderly person, pets, small children, intoxicated people, whatever, that may not be aware of whether or not they've been scratched.
Right. Well,
bitten,
nobody got hurt that day.
Urine in the eyes.
Right.
Like you don't, so they're going to protect, they're going to cover their bases.
Right.
Your health provider, if you call your health provider and say, I had a bat in the living space, what should I do? They're going to cover their butts every time.
Course. And that's why I'm saying some questions you don't want to hear the answers to.
Right. So
that was one I told she was a nurse at one time. Well, she was a nurse then. And she says, should we call? I says, no.
Well, if you feel like you're equipped and competent enough to do it, whatever, that's up to you. But the best thing is to call a professional that has the right tools and vaccinations to deal with it. And that may sound like some sales pitch for me to have business, but it's the truth too. You don't want to mess with an animal that you're not entirely. And just because a bat ends up in a living space doesn't mean it's automatically safe.
No, it didn't frighten me a bit. I wasn't a bit hesitant. And by the way, over in Myers Park, as you well know, there's tons of houses with bats. Right as we speak, right now, you got bats.
Oh, I drive by houses all the time.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, that house has got squirrels. You see that hole in the roof? They got raccoons.
Right.
See the stains on the louvers? They got bats.
Yeah.
I'll see it.
I went over there and we went in the attic, and there was so much guano on these right there to Eve stacked up on this old cabinetry that was up there under the goodness gracious. And I'm not going to even finish the story on that because everybody thinks I'm crazy. And I was just stupid, actually. But we removed all of it. Didn't remove the bats, and I told them they had to call somebody to do that.
Got the cart in front of the horse a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. But I learned because that was my first Yeah, but
Right.
what was funny is I was up there cleaning the guano up, and a bat fell right on the thing in front of me. I said, "Oh no!" I just removed myself. I went downstairs. Time to leave. I got
Yeah.
to go. But yeah, they had a big bat problem and had no idea. I mean, those bats have been up there for, I would bet you, 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, a lot of people figure it out. They'll see the droppings on like their driveway. They're falling out of a soffit, behind a freeze board, or out of a louver vent or something, and they don't know to look up. They like, what is all this
Oh,
stuff
yeah,
that
so-
piles up? And then finally they'll look up and see it, or they'll see the bats or hear them. You know, a lot of people that get out early in the morning to walk their dog, they see the bats going in their house, or
Right.
in the evening at dark, they're out there cooking, and they're like, why are these bats are boiling out of this soffit return? I think they're coming out of my house. So, yeah, some people figure out, in different ways, but a lot of people don't. If they
Out
have
of
no
sight, out of mind.
unless a contractor or a neighbor informs them, or the guano piles up so much that they smell it, and they're
Well-
like, "There's so weird smell in here."
I know.
And like the cat urine we were talking about earlier, it has that
Oh, Lord.
very distinct, strong, high urea
Yeah.
smell to
Oh,
it.
it's horrible. Worst smell of all is cat spray to
Mhm.
me. But let's talk about bats for people right now. What can they look for to see if they have bats? What are the indicators?
So when bats go in and out of structures, they will leave behind. There's an oil on their body, sebum, and so they will, like, if it looks like, if you have a white house and a white louver vent and it looks dirty, like one part of it looks smudged up and stained, like dark brown,
Sure.
that'll be an indicator. If you see behind the freeze board or rake board, if you see like white streaks of urine, or you see the little rice-sized guano pellets, stuck to the side of the house, if you see them going in and out in the morning or in the evening when they go in and come out of structures, sometimes you'll hear them scuttling around. Sometimes you'll smell them. Like something's weird in here. If you open up a Smurf door to an hip attic and you look in the flooring and there you see all these black and brown pellets, guano everywhere. Yeah, you've got bats in your soffits, and they're coming up into the attic space there. And I had one recently in Waxhaw where they got in there and they were roosting amongst their luggage. A couple of their suitcases were open, and they were actually crawling up into the suitcases and hanging in the suitcase.
Really?
And then the little lady was like, "I'm throwing all of that luggage away." I was like, "Yeah, I probably should. I don't think you're going to want to. I don't think there's any coming back from the smell of the urine and the guano in there." So she had to throw away however many hundreds of dollars worth of suitcases. But there's lots of little things. But if you're worried about it, you can always have somebody come do an inspection. You can sit outside at your house in the evening to see if bats are flying out of the ridge vent or a louver vent. And the two most common areas that bats like to get into are going to be soffit returns and louver vents. To a lesser,
E-vents, gable vents, that sort of thing, the little slotted things on a lot of houses.
octagon shaped, the more common triangular shaped,
Yeah,
circular,
A-vents.
rectangle, whatever, louver vents. Yeah.
Yep.
And gaps in the freeze board, especially in stone, stucco, brick.
Right. Now, if you don't have bats and your house is, built in the 70s to 2000s and you got a gable vent and you want to do a little bit of what do I call it? Preventive maintenance on the gable vent, you could use hardware cloth.
Yeah, that's what we do. We use a poly-coated quarter-inch hardware cloth, when we'll do everything from just basically screen it
Yeah, exactly.
to then we've even had where we put in decorative molding and trim to make it look nice and clean. There's kind of a spectrum of services that we offer there, but most of them you just basically screen them, and we'll use a color match zip screw, and that poly-coated screen is a bit more rigid. It looks better. People are always concerned, like, what's this black screen going to look like? Well, we use black because it's low visibility.
Right,
Actually.
exactly.
The
Sure.
black is lower visibility than, say, painting it white to match your trim.
Right.
You won't see it at all. People are concerned about what it looks like, but people actually like it, or don't see it, or they say, well, actually, it looks better.
Right.
And speaking of louver vents, if in identifying bats, if you go in your attic and look at the back side of the vent, the back side of most of those vents are going to have a screen in them,
like
like a window
on your
screen.
window screen. Exactly.
And I'll get that comment a lot, like, well, there's a screen there. They're not in the attic. I'm not concerned. I'm like, well, no, they hang on that screen and they defecate and it collects in the bottom of it. And the acidic nature of the urine and the guano will just cause that screen to erode. And then all the guano that collects and packs in the bottom of that vent then just spills out into the attic. And then the bats have access to the attic. So no, you don't want them hanging in there, period. But that's another identifier. If you go up in your attic and you look at the backside of your louver vents and you see a colony of bats hanging in there, well, there's your dead obvious giveaway.
Yeah, they hang right there. They're obvious. You can see them.
The screen, yeah.
Sure.
And if you see the screen, a lot of times you'll see the crystallized urine. It'll be like caked up white crystals, like almost little stalactites of urine.
Right.
And then this big black packed in accumulation of guano in there. So, and some people say I like the bats. That guano is trickling out into my knockout roses, and my knockout roses have never looked better. Right.
Got fertilizer.
But if you ever go to sell the house and an inspector goes in there and lays eyes on that, he's going to say right then and there, before you sell it, or the leverage of the buyer is going to say, get rid of this. So, and then
you've got a time element that you can work with, and that's it.
So you're going to spend the money anyways,
or blow up your house. Oh, we'll just blow the dang thing up.
People do some crazy stuff to real wildlife.
Oh, believe me.
I've seen some crazy things. One of the craziest, this guy had squirrels, and I went into his attic, and it was like I had walked into some demented club. There were strobe lights going, music blasting, bowls of antifreeze, rat snap traps with drywall screws run through the bottom of the pan. So, like, if it caught the squirrel, it would, stab him through the neck. And
really,
he had a BB gun laying next to the door.
Good Lord,
I walked in that attic, and it was like strobing lights and animal distress sounds and rap music. It was like, this is crazy.
And he said, well, I didn't want to go.
And he still had squirrels. I didn't care about
it. Squirrels, you can't beat a squirrel, right?
Again,
it's hard to outsmart a squirrel.
Let's circle back. 99.9% of structural squirrel issues are females. Once she's chewed a hole, created a nest, and furthermore, if she's birthed young, she's committed to it. I had a guy go into an attic one time and go up to a squirrel point blank within a few feet. She's sitting down in that insulation nest. He just blasted her with mace. Now, it wasn't a smart move because he maced himself, dispensing mace in an enclosed space. So he dropped the mace, maced himself, kind of breathing it in, and then he kind of stumbled his way back through, somehow didn't fall through the ceiling. And the squirrel went away for a little bit, but she came back. She worked her way past the mace, but then returned. And I never forget when I went up there, I said, there's not any more mace or anything I have to be concerned about. He's like, no. But when I went in there and did my inspection to make sure there's no chewed wires or anything. And we also get a good look at the footprint of the attic and make sure there's no other holes by going in the attic. But I did see the mace cans sitting on, sitting on the insulation.
Lord of mercy. More stories, more Andrew Cole right after this. Got a caller?
Kathy Helms has a question.
Kathy Helms.
I told her I'm coming back.
Sure, no problem. We'll get to Kathy right after the break. You're listening to About Your House, and I want to talk to her anyway. I'm glad you called, Kathy. I was going to call you Monday. Good to hear you. Thank you. And we'll get to her right after the break and wrap this third hour and About Your House up with Andrew Cole.
Go to AboutYourHouseRadio.com to find a list of professional service providers in the About Your House Radio family.
Owens Chimney Systems is known for all professional chimney services since 1989, including chimney cleaning, recommended annually, chimney evaluations and inspections, any and all chimney repairs and restorations, gas fireplace and gas fire log service, furnace cleaning, cleaning out one of the most overlooked appliances in the home. Get it done right the first time. That's Owens Chimney Systems at 704-554-9595. Or you can visit us online at owenschimneysystems.com.
Go outside and take a look at your home. Are the gutters doing their job? The number one enemy to your home is water. Most homes are built with small, inadequate gutters and small downspouts. ABS Insulating has a division of the company that does nothing but gutter services. All gutter services: cleaning, maintaining, repair, new downspouts, replacement, and new gutters with many types available. They're a leader when it comes to gutter protection. Call ABS Insulating today, 704-821-4343 or absinsulating.com.
Steve Helms here with the Al Metal Driving Corporation. The Al Metal Driving Corporation is a full-service driving company. Regardless of the problem, we can handle it. Does your clothes dryer take longer than 45 to 50 minutes to dry a load? If so, you need your dryer vent cleaned or checked. The clothes dryer is the most inefficient appliance in the house and should never take longer than 45 to 50 minutes. Call Al Metal Dryer Vent today at 704-846-8368 or online at almetaldryervent.com. That's 704-846-VENT. Have you cleaned your dryer vent lately?
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
Okay, welcome back to About Your House right here on Fox Sports Charlotte every Saturday. Download the free app. Stream us live. Let's go to the phones to talk to Kathy. Good morning, Kathy. How you doing today?
Good morning, Ray. I'm doing well. I hope you are.
I am doing great. And once again, I want to thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. My pleasure.
That was a beautiful donation, and I appreciate it. And I'm speaking of a donation Kathy made through her employment and her retirement, and I appreciate it. We can leave it at that, but it was very generous donation, and I appreciate it. And folks, on that note, puttoolsinschools.org. Please visit the website, and we can use your help, industry. We've got, and I'm saying this real quick, Kathy, and then I'll let you proceed with your question. We've got several events planned. We got a Trades Career Day coming up, Mount Pleasant High School, September 19th, I believe it is. And we need industry to get involved, but we need the community to get involved in these activities as well. And real quick to you, Kathy, if you will text me your phone number, I'm going to reach out to you Monday and have a discussion with you about you. You told me what could you do to help. You asked me that question one time, and I'm going to call you and we're going to discuss it if I may. Okay?
Yes, that sounds great. Yes.
So do that. Now proceed with your question. Thanks once again.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you, Ray. So I listening to the show. It's really a great show. And, we have an old house that it was built in 1969. So we've encapsulated the crawl space. We're doing over the years. And about 2 years ago, we had fresh insulation blown in the attic and the attic tent put up. Now took a peek up in there. I think I was putting a storage box up there, and I noticed all these little holes in the blown insulation, and I'm afraid I might have mice up there. And I didn't know if that's something, how to take care of it or how to proceed with that. And then one other question is, I have an attic fan that's blowing the hot air out, but it's constantly running, and I wondered if that is truly necessary. And I can hang up and listen unless you have a question.
No, I don't have a question. I've got something to say. Due to where you live, you're in Union County. She's in the country.
Okay.
Right down on 601.
Mhm.
Okay, she's in the country.
Very familiar.
So there in fact lies. You're in the country.
Well, whether it's uptown or out in the country, the deer mice make up the majority of complaints with mice and structures. Also, I'll say to not, it doesn't matter if you have a brand new blown-in insulation attic or an encapsulated crawl space. If your house isn't rodent-proof, and encapsulated crawl spaces don't equal rodent-proof, mice can, if they can get in to a space, if they can chew in or squeeze in, they'll continue to use those spaces. Deer mice will get into a crawl space and go through the wall voids to the attic. They'll also scale a house or get onto a roof from an overhanging tree limb and squeeze in through louver vents or soffit returns. They'll even go in through power ventilators like you're talking about. And the power ventilator, and I'm sure Ray can touch on this as well, is definitely necessary to keep the thermal envelope of your house and your roof and attic space cool. But if you're not rodent proof, they'll just continue to use it. And that's what you see. And I almost always see some evidence of deer mice in people's attics. The trails that look like little trails in the snow, the little dime-sized to quarter-sized burrows that go down into the insulation. And they'll make quite a bit of noise. When they get down in the insulation and get up against the drywall, they'll make a lot of noise. People don't give them enough credit for the amount of noise they'll make. But to keep mice out of structures, you're left with two options: traditional pest control methods or prevention. Traditional pest control methods are glue boards, rodenticide treatments, and trapping. Most PCO companies are going to provide rodenticide treatments and glue boards and monitoring. It may be a one-time service or part of your quarterly service. It's cost effective. It treats the symptom, doesn't cure the problem. It is something that most people do to handle mice. Now, if you want to be rodent proof and not have mice get in, period, well, then that's where you do a lot of rodent proofing services like sealing, screening, vent guarding, animal proofing the house. Now, that cost up front, though, I always head it off. I never assume anybody's budget, but I say you're going to spend probably a significant amount of money to really make your house animal proof, rodent proof against mice.
And Kathy, I will say this too: you've always had them. They've been a product of your life where you live. That house you live in was built probably in the 60s, right?
Right, 69.
The house was built very leaky. Energy standards weren't even existent back then. Okay, to the point they are now. So my point to you is you've always lived with them, and you can't where you're at in the house you live in. Good luck if you're going to.
It can be done. A lot of people, and even no shots fired towards pest control, will say, "Well, it's impossible to mouse proof a house." No, it's not impossible. The elite pest control companies that incorporate exclusion and use good materials, the wildlife control companies that do good, thorough services, use good products to keep mice out. You can rodent proof a house, and we do lots of rodent proofing and animal proofing to prevent mice from coming in. We do a lot of it, and it goes hand in hand with keeping other things out too. That's where people will remark about seeing less smoky brown cockroaches, or they no longer have a rat snake getting in the crawl space or the attic. Or when you animal proof a house, it starts, especially if you do the whole thing, you're going to spend some money to do it. You can have jobs that, are in the, $1,500 to $2,000 range. And then depending on the size of the house and the amount of entry points, it could go up $4,000, $3,000, $4,000, $6,000.
Your house isn't that large, is it, Kathy?
No, it's about 1,300 square feet.
I thought so. She got a small brick home.
And you would be amazed what just simply putting vent guards or screening on the foundation vents, improving a crawl space door, and sealing up all the pipe penetrations would do for a house. Now, I have seen lots of houses with missing mortar and settlement issues and really big gaps, or 3 layers of siding on between the foundation wall and sill band and stuff. And so all those things can be tackled with different products and different customary services, but you're only as good as your weakest link. So when I tell people, when you rodent proof, you have to be thorough. Sure, it could be where an air conditioning line goes through a foundation wall. That might be the smoking gun, the one primary spot. But if in time, mice will probably find somewhere else to chew in. So, but it can be done. Even on older homes, there are lots of companies, including myself, that do rodent proofing and animal proofing services, use good products, and help people with keeping mice out of your house. It can be done.
All right. Oh, did we help you? And you can hang up, and I'll talk about the ventilator.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. Have a great
thank you
weekend.
again, Kathy. We'll talk soon, okay?
Okay, we'll talk soon. Thank you.
You got it. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. And as far as the ventilation of the attic, that vent fan, especially this past week at 97 degrees, is going to stay on probably throughout the whole day.
Yeah.
Because temps in attics right now range between 120 to 150 to 100, even higher in some cases. So you need to exhaust as much of that hot air as possible to, like you said, to keep the building envelope as cool as possible.
Yeah, the people that are considering buying a sauna for, like, getting the toxins out of their body, don't do that. Go just sit in your attic.
Yeah, we got this thing.
Go sit in your attic for about 5 minutes.
We got this thing when we go into attics like this week. You go into attics on a week like this past week.
It's brutal.
It doesn't get any worse. But you just psych yourself into it. Say, I ain't going to be up here but 30, 40 minutes, and I'm out.
I had a job the other day where we had to close up the squirrel entry point. So we're laying on the roof in the sun.
Right.
I'm laying on a pitch hopper, kind of almost inverted. We finish up shielding, and we get that work knocked out. And then the client's like, can you just go in the attic one more time to make sure there's no wire damage? And sure, go in there. It's like 130 degrees.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
I think I shedded about 2 pounds in water weight within a matter of an hour.
Oh, you can lose a few pounds in a very short time, but that's part of the job. What the heck? Let's just do it. I want to thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
We got about a minute and a half left here. Well, it's been
it goes by quick.
Yeah, it does. Quickest 3 hours of my week.
Yeah.
Quickest 3 hours of my week. And thank you so much. How do they get in touch with you?
You can email me at songdogwildlife@gmail.com, or you can call me directly at 704-989-0458.
Google Song Dog Wildlife. It's all there. I mean, it's that simple.
Yep, you can Google me.
Technology works,
That's right.
I really appreciate you coming in today. It's a lot of fun. And folks, I want to ask that you go to puttoolsinschools.org if you want to help. Check it out. Check our mission. Check our objectives. It's all about the kids. It's all about the students, career pathways, and happiness and with purpose. So I really invite you. We need your support, donations, volunteering for events, industry, coming out to the trades career days, whatever you can do or afford. That's what we need. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
And just make it a great week and go out and spread some love. I can't even read the dead gum. I gotta go get my eyes checked. There ain't no doubt I can't see no more.
I'm 42. I'm just starting to get fuzzy.
All right, folks, go out and spread some love. Make it a great week. Find a child to mentor. I'm gonna bring my child that I'm mentoring in here in a week or two. Let him get him exposed to radio and let you hear his story as well. So go out and make it a great week. We love you all. Next Saturday, we've got Dwell Inc. back in the house talking about a company that assists you in taking care of your house, that money pit, right? It never stops when you own a house. We'll tune into About Your House. We'll help you a little bit here and there with a few facts. So come on back. Let's spread some love together every Saturday right here. We love you all. Have a great week.